Oh, shoot.
Welcome to the Tuesday game, news series called Resistance of the Threshold. Sorry, laughing at the same time is not keen. This will be session 0, which will be a generation session for player characters and also formation of an interesting mechanic that I will be utilizing through this game. And when I say mechanic, more or less just a narrative symbiosis, a narrative generation process that will be a little bit more hands-on from the player's perspective rather than being kind of immersed into a world that's already preset. Of course, there are already presets here, but again, giving them the sense of, or the illusion rather, that they have some sense of control over it is great. That being said, welcome. Typical players here, we have Kevin. Oh, somebody switched positions on me. Somehow. How did that happen? But why
It's
though?
magic.
Okay. Fixing it real quick. That said, as I'm doing that, Zach is the new player we will be adding to the series. So welcome. He is
Kevin.
You mean
What?
Kevin?
Who did I say?
Zach?
Zach's been in it.
Zach.
Zach's been here.
We were talking about Zach so much at the beginning of the game, my brain was very Zach-centric.
Okay.
So
I hugged the
Kevin,
conversation.
Kevin is the player
Nothing
that
new,
will be
really.
Yes, hello.
added to this game. I do see that Andy is watching, who he is a member of the Sunday game I mentioned in our kind of startup. The location that they are going to be exploring is due south of Penford in the same region that the Sunday game is exploring. The names of these two campaigns were specifically chosen due to the conflictory nature of the names. But we'll explore that more as we continue on, of course. That said, you all have a handout. You all have an understanding as to how your characters will be generated. And you also have foreseen what will be happening after that point. But let's first deal with the matter of character creation. Now, I'm sure that some of you already have grand ideas as to what you'll be playing, but your party, more so than any other party, due to the fact that you are a group who not only knows each other and has traveled together, very much relies on one another for day-to-day purposes because you live in a town where some of you will be taking roles of importance. You need to understand that your characters need to have synergy. So I do know that some of you have ideas, and I've built those into your brains, but it may be the case that you need to cave on those if other people are desiring it as well, or beat them up and then make them play something they don't want to play so that you can do what you want. Either way works for me. I genuinely don't care ultimately what happens at the end. I just want you to know that being a group that works well together is very much a large part of this. I'll explain in an analogy, or I'll explain in an example. So Zach and Kevin both played in a game where a similar town creation process was utilized, and the group didn't really converse about how the independent dynamics of the characters' stories would really relate to anyone else. And so what we ended up getting was a lord who didn't talk to anybody and then thought assaulted another one of the characters because they figured they could just read their minds and take what they wanted from them because they are the town lord. We had a person who was a rock star who didn't give a shit about the town, and the only reason that they were in the town and not roaming around being a badass bard was because they were a player at the table. No actual in-character reasons. And then we had a person who struggled against all ends to try and bring everything together, and everyone didn't give a flying fuck what that fairy had to say. That said, if you build independently, I guarantee your stories won't matter. Not because they're not great, it's because they're not this story. So that's very much important. As we build these characters, it's not you building a character, it is you as a group building a party. And more so, building a ruling body, governance of this town. It hasn't been mentioned in the handout, but I do want to stress that it was alluded to, and also want to point out, too, more importantly, what your town means. The barony of Ulamar was destroyed. It has no semblance of actual governance itself. The capital city was sacked, destroyed in little more than a 6-day. Everyone who escaped ran to the winds and went to different towns. Some of them tried to just hide within those towns. Others tried to take over the towns and do something to make themselves feel like they could possibly retort or even just defend themselves more suitably. Whether or not that's what's happened to your town is up to you. Or whether or not your town has just been here for as long as, the barony has been around, so much the better. Your town does have a job, though. It is a defensible position at the base of Urmarag Mountain, where the monastery of Urmarag sits. The Urmarag Monastery is a monastery of the god Atavius, god of order and law. They also follow the adherences of the older gods of Jernaris, the God Heart. 9 deities associated with the 9 aspects of magic, and also associated with the compass wheel of alignment, of order, of chaos, of good, of evil, of neutrality. But primarily Atavius. And in the handout, the abbot, or rather abbess of the monastery, is a half-drow woman who is unlike drow of other campaign settings. I know I've gone it over a couple times, but just so it's on the table, no one's confused. Drow in this campaign setting are not murderous spider worshippers that backstab everybody and are, strange. Instead,
Poopy.
they are elves who decided to follow a archfey known as Makema, the Dreamweaver. They, instead of entering into the Feywild when they trance, enter into the dreaming, and live inside of dreams of their own creation. So in the physical world, they're all just people in meditative states, and inside of the dreaming, they are very much in a society that sustains them. This individual left that society because she had a dream about the sun and a prophecy to her to go to this place and host Urmarag, for one day a great hero would come up the mountain and meet with her. You've all met with her as your characters have progressed in the story, so you know it's not you, or at least it's not immediately been foretold to be you. So scratch that thought out of your heads. But yeah, with this information out on the table, with your understanding of how the party should work as a unit, is there any questions that you have for me, or any questions you have for your peers?
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff about the kind of history or origin of the town, are we going to roll that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we gonna roll the town stuff before we do characters, so we can make our characters make sense in the town that was rolled?
So
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Too.
that's a great question. I wanted to go with character creation first and that party formation first and then into it. And the reason why I say that is some of that materia may not be stuff you've dealt with. If you play a human and you're only 30 or 40 years old and your town's 100 years old, you probably weren't here for the resulting matters that caused the town's formation or the town to be in the state that it's in. But we could go either way. I suppose I'm not opposed to trying it a different way than I had imagined. I guess we'll just take a vote, and I will be voting for my way, obviously. But I'm not a tyrant or anything. It'll still just be one vote count. It's nothing crazy, but how would you like to proceed? Do we want to build the characters first, so we have them, and then form the town via random roll and see how that adjusts to your character? Or do you wish to build the town out first, and then based on that roll a character?
So I think the difficulty with rolling the history of the town first is we don't know who the advisor is going to be, and if the advisor is going to play an important part in designing what the tower looks like. We don't know who the guide of the town is going to be, and they're
Right.
important to the formation of what the temple of our town looks like. We don't know who the ruler is going to be, and the ruler is going to be the primary creator of the keep, and a lot of that history should interplay with those structures. So I feel like we should establish those people in those places first, even if it's not like, if you want to build a human, great, but build your house first, like the family that you want your character to be from, even if you don't have the specifics of the character. Because the more important part right now is, like, there are essentially, if you look, 6 primary functions in this town, and there are 6 characters, and that's done on purpose. So there's one ruler, there's one advisor, there's one, we don't all have to be from one of those things, but this gives us all an opportunity to have our own little slice of the world. Or you could double up with someone if you wanted to be an heir to the throne, and the ruler is one character and one of the other PCs is an adolescent who's in their lineage. Totally fair. And then we don't have, say, a captain. The captain can be an NPC. Because who cares? Or if somebody really wants to be, but like, I think it's more important that we decide what roles we all want to be and try and establish what those structures in our current society look like. And then we can build the history out from that, because it'll be more interesting to have the history interplay with our town than to try and just figure out what's a doom when we don't even know what the temple looks like. How can we doom or how can we give the boon to the temple when we don't know what would be good or bad for it historically? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And
That's my argument, and that's why I would agree with John on that vote.
Lengthier version than than my mentality. Have the blocks before, setting them on fire. Okay, so Zach, Elizabeth, you're next on the docket according to my listing here. Your vote.
Man. Honestly, I didn't really care. I just wanted to know.
You can null vote. That's fine.
Yeah.
Jija.
Can I abstain? I don't really care either way.
Null vote. Yeah, that's fine. Kevin.
Well, I'm tempted to vote against Zach just for the principle of it, but I do agree. I do.
love this
This is
idea.
gonna be fun.
I do agree with what he's saying, though. No, I will vote with Zach and you. I think that's the best way to do it.
Okay. So with 2 null votes, that means we have 3 of 5. There's 2 votes remaining, so it could potentially end in a 3v2 vote. So that pretty much settles it. Unless you want to chime in to try and sway people's ideas, either Magpie or Chris.
Nah.
I was leaning towards town creation first, but then basically what Zach said, I'm like, yeah,
Swayed.
that makes sense.
Swayed.
Yeah, I got swayed.
He's a pretty good arguer. Some sort of debate pervert. Anywho,
Oh, throw me in that fucking pile of shit.
you were
I'm
the,
okay.
you were the
You're
one
one
who
of those
admitted.
kids in high
Okay,
school.
speech and debate master.
Yeah, you were the one who admitted you had like the acting class. Ace.
It's like, I've got to go to debate club after school.
It was improv class, damn it.
Fair.
It's way
Sure.
worse.
So then, focusing on
You're right.
character generation, I know that there are a couple of you who had mentioned and had also reached out to me on the side with kind of core ideas for what you're wanting to do, and that's probably more than others. So I'm gonna put people out on the spot here, just because I'm that kind of person. I'll start with Jijo. You have an idea for a character that you kind of not fully fleshed out. Again, I haven't read the whole thing, but I did see there was a lot of content there. So if you'd like to kind of go over that character shorthand and explain what your idea is, and looking forward, if there's any of the roles that you are interested in.
Yeah, so I really well, I kind of wanted to drag Magpie with me as part of it.
Okay.
I was sort of had like this Witcher and Bard combo kind of thought. So I like the I really wanted to play the Bard, and also wanted to play like a weird race combination. I'm very flexible about the role. So the roles are controller, defender, expert, leader, striker,
Mhm.
right? Okay. So I'm really leaning towards the expert role. So someone that has expertise in maybe lore, hospitality, maybe the town, like innkeeper, merchants guild
Absolutely.
person. So that's kind of the idea that I'm
So we're looking
developing.
at the Tasha's Cauldron kind of
Mhm.
lineage instead of a direct race,
Right.
and that's perfectly fine. And I do know that in your subset you'd asked a question about the northern section of the map.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Now, interesting point too towards what you were noting. You had said that there was an interest in doing Part Goliath. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you've been keeping up with the Sunday game, but
No.
there is a Goliath in that group. A recent transplant from, if you recall, in the Patreon game where everybody died. Zach had played a character who was one of the last surviving members, or so he thought, the last surviving member, the prince of a tribe called the Bloodrock tribe. And I'll go ahead and notate
The-
that marker.
The blood what?
Blood Rock.
Blood rock.
Yep. And I just put that marker there. South of that is the forest area where that group of individuals died due to Denisatvan incursion. And the Denisatvans have been kind of moving from the western side into this part of Jernaris for some time. To the west of this area is a land that is connected with Anundia, which is the middle land of this map. And that land is known as Scoria, which in kind of parlance, geological parlance, just means wasteland. So yeah, kind of west of here is just a bunch of no good land. Like it's not, there's no agriculture to speak of, but not due to the fact that it's inhospitable to start. It's because it's been kind of over used and kind of left to ruin by the Denisatvan people.
Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia is a good way of putting it. Yeah, actually.
Oklahoma,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, if
Sorry,
you
Oklahoma.
back
will.
in the dust storm.
Dust Bowls, yeah. But the Bloodrocks, if that were the Goliath tribe that you were kind of interested in being affiliated with, they do have close ties with the Fae. They also have close ties with Giantkin as well, who are kind of higher up in the mountains proper. So it's not an insane idea. It's something that we can work with.
Did I say what the mix is? I didn't say it, right?
What's that?
I don't think I said exactly what the mix is, which would be Goliath and Fairy.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was kind of scanning over it and saw that. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct. It would be
Yes!
a Fairy Goliath combo.
So
which-
something that you mentioned, John, that kind of worries me, but not, I mean, it doesn't worry me, but I think it's like kind of a bump or a barrier to connecting to the story, is that you don't want to be someone who's like just happens to be in the town or an
Sure.
outsider that like pops in, and so like that racial background gives me a little bit of an outsidery kind of
It can.
flavor.
It can, but it also couldn't, because if you look around the area here, you'll know that they're
Yeah.
surrounded by trees as well. So it could be the case that the fairy half of your parentage
Mhm.
was actually the half that acquired you in the raising, and well before the Denisatvans came and dealt with the Bloodrocks, well before the Denisatvans came and dealt with the fort therein. It could be the case that the Fae that were in the woods there kind of left the area due to prophecies foreseeing that that was going to happen. And you kind of, because of your lineage, instead of staying with the fairies inside of the forest and learning the ways of like a druid or what have you, you kind of at a very young age kind of took on like a stewardship in town and kind of were raised from, you know, not exactly adulthood, but adolescence into that process. I mean, it could be the case that you're still in that adolescence.
I don't want to be an adolescent.
Fair. Nobody wants to be.
Sorry.
It's fine. I know Andy would be an adolescent because I put all the good stat options under that, you turkey. Anywho. Okay, so we're leaning expert, possibly some sort of lore master, goes along with bard. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. And then Zach, you said you have about 16 ideas, but we're kind of leaning in towards one. Do you want to discuss that one? Not leaning?
No, I'm not leaning into anything at all. I just have a bunch of directions I can go. So I want to hear what everyone else has. Like that I wrote up an idea for everything that I could think of to cover every base that's open. Does that mean like it's like a baseball team and I'm like ready to play the outfield. I got shortstop, I got first base. You want me to pitch? I'll fucking catch, bro. I got ideas.
I love that energy. Absolutely. Does anybody else have any kind of cemented ideas as to what they're wanting to do?
I had a loose idea.
Okay.
So my idea was I was interested in playing a Dragonborn who, like, in his adolescent years was like basically like in the bad crowd in town and like didn't really do anything terribly heinous, but eventually like after just like petty crime and stuff like that, got caught for his crimes, went to trial, thrown in jail and served his time. And then like when he left jail, like he was trying to like he wanted to just like he was like I don't want to fuck around with that anymore. But, like the only kind of job he could get was just like a low level city guard or something.
And has since risen to the ranks of like a defender type.
Yeah, I was definitely going for defender type.
Absolutely understood. So like a master of the watch, if we kind of lean into it, there's a captain option inside of the town aspect. So yeah, perfect. I like it. I will let you know a little bit of lore about dragons and dragonborn in this area. During the War of Sword and Serpent, Janaris was a very large stronghold of dragonkind. They were opposed to a lot of the elvish elements during that war. It's said that the Janaran people are the descendants of human dragon hybrids, half dragons, not so much to say dragonborn. It's also well known that dragonborn are a very common race in Janaris. Not just because of that connection, but also because of the affinity for magic in a lot of them. But yeah, that absolutely works out in my head. As a dragonborn that was kind of, just raised in the town, you're probably one of the, more well-known individuals, like, by anyone who else is kind of, they know your story, and they're...
I'm definitely thinking like just as like you say, like you want some knives and stuff. I'm thinking like people in the town and players, if you want, like there could be some people who are like who see him as reliable and trustworthy, but then others because they know who he is. There's like, this guy's no good. What the fuck, man?
There could also be criminal elements in the town still, who you might have connections to, either good or bad. Absolutely an option.
Sorry, baby.
Oh,
So no, I kicked my cat by accident. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
A likely story.
I figured that baby was not me. Okay, so we have two pretty cool ideas so far for characters. Now, thinking about that, like, can we implement the two kind of to a degree? Let's think about it. So, Jijo, you were talking about being kind of a lore master, a master of records, but you're also a bard. So I'm assuming like that mentality as the kind of lore master could lead you to a couple of different sections of the town proper when we get to that generation process. What I mean to say is the town has some roles that will be filled once it's created, and we're kind of looking at kind of captain in Chris. But we're on in you. Are we looking at more of a advisor, or are we looking at more of a magnate? Do you want to run the town, like the established kind of currency of the town, or do you want to be an advisor directly to whoever ends up being the ruler?
Who is that question for?
You, Jijo, sir.
You.
Oh, do I want to run the town?
No, do you want to run the town's like main means of like acquiring kind of like wealth? Or do you want to be the advisor who kind of runs the tower?
I guess like at the start of the story, depending on how powerful the town is, right? Like if like the main source of income for the town is the inn, right? Like, or if there's like a treasury.
So the
like,
establishment is your choice. When we get to that portion of it, it's going to be your choice as to what the establishment is, and the establishment will be the thing that kind of creates money. In the last game, it was a Monster Hunters Guild in the Shadow of Fire game.
Okay. Which
again, that's fine. But if like it's an inn, great. But again, if you're also going for kind of like a lore keeper, kind of like historian, the tower is supposed to be that source of lore, and then you would serve as a direct advisor to whoever ends up being the ruler. And it sounded like you were trying to drag Magpie into like a position of, you know, you kind of catching to them, so we can have everyone else like you know, either agree with you and let Magpie take that position, or draw out the knives and stab her to death via the Julius Caesar in dark.
I mean, I think politically it would be kind of fun to, like, let's say Magpie, that we, you know, both got to the town like around the same, or we were both like coming of age around the same time, made friends, and, you know, your character is like the leader, if, you know, of the town maybe, and like I went up a different route, right? And came to power in a different way. That's not official, right? That's not necessarily like an archival administrative advisory capacity.
You're leaning more towards the magnate position, is that right?
The what?
Magnate.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I guess my vision for my character is like initially seems kind of like ditzy and dumb and like preoccupied with like aesthetics and beauty, but actually has like a sharp mind for politics and for history and knowledge. So I don't know. I think that sounds.
It could be the ruler too, because you could also just be a merchant lord, but it's really just dependent on what you want to do. The magnate serves, has an establishment and will effectively be a powerful merchant. But the difference between just being a merchant and being the magnate, you're the magnate of the town, which means you have sworn fealty to the town and are basically filling the coffers of the town. You are state sponsored and a state kind of asset. So I like the idea of kind of having the establishment being yours, but then kind of given over. That's also kind of cool. Okay, so we have an idea here of Jijo, kind of like what Jijo's planning, but it does sound like it's kind of falling in between a couple of options here. We have Chris, who's kind of pretty set on a defender type, which is cool. I like a Stern City of the Watch. Dragonborn sounds great. We've kind of talked about Magpie here in this lead up. What role or what kind of character are you kind of imagining, if any at all?
I kind of want to get out of my usual trope of,
Fighter.
the fighter.
He's a himbo.
So kind of. It's my comfort zone. So definitely don't want to be defender, even though like that's where I gravitate towards. Was kind of looking at like more of a magic based class.
Okay.
Like an Eldritch Knight almost. Just like kind of flip my usual.
Well, still a fighter.
It's still a fighter, so like there's some comfort there, but like also is like pulling me out of my normal like good boy fight type of thing.
But it's still kind of I will say it is still kind of good boy fight.
I don't know, I'm trying.
not to be terrible, but like if you're wanting to kind of vastly escape the trope, maybe play something that's not frontline.
Okay, so all right.
Because I understand your desire to be in the face of the enemy and murder them.
Yeah.
I do. I really do. But you've seen powerful players play from a distance, and you can definitely make it your own, I'm sure. Saying that, again, fighter Eldritch Knight, it'd be fine. I just think that if we're leaning more towards kind of a spellcaster, you may want to lean more into other classes. I would say cleric might be suited for what you're thinking if divine is an okay power source for you. And artificer might be a good path to go if arcane is more what you're looking at. These are kind of mixed classes that kind of do the fighting and magic, but it's not the way that fighter Eldritch Knight would be, which would be the magic is there to empower the fighting, whereas the opposite is true of the cleric and the artificer, where the fighting is there to empower the magic casting.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
There's also, I mean, if we're dead set on being being a combatant, ranger is also a good choice. Because they're also very skillful in their spell casting. And warlock can also kind of go that route as well. But if you're set on fighter Eldritch Knight, definitely fine.
I'm not. I'm really set on anything. I just wanted to kind of break out of like I usually play like fighter paladin.
As someone who's played Eldritch Knight, the Eldritch Knight takes spells like shield and takes spells like, you're taking spells to master the frontline bit. They're more like techniques from a battle master than anything else. Whereas if you do like a wizard blade singer, that's the spell casting making like the fighting like penultimate, but also kind of more optional. The fighting part, you can kind of stay back and cast. And then honestly, I think cleric would probably be a good fit for you. They're not overcomplicated in their spell casting. You don't you don't have to take a long list of what you got because it's just going to tell you what you have. The same is true for rangers. Rangers are a bit more multivaried, though.
Same is true for a lot of warlock builds too.
Yeah.
To be fair, they're often one-trick ponies with the Eldritch Blast.
And if Gito's going to be your advisor regarding warlock, or regarding the game.
Just put me on blast, Zach. Just put me on Eldritch Blast, Zach.
So I think we have a good idea as to what we're wanting to do. We're looking for a character who is spellcastery. But also someone who can kind of lead from the front if needed. Okay. Absolutely good. And the role that you're thinking about, is there a role in particular of the lot that you're interested in or no?
Cleric would match up nice with a temple guide.
Or more so role, not the temple position.
The defender or...
I think it would go well with leader. In all honesty.
Controllers, not right.
Yeah, it could also go well with
Striker.
Yeah. Being the
Yeah.
one who kind of mets out justice. Again, if you are faithful, you would be associated with, if not
The
worshiping directly.
Inquisition.
Well, not the Inquisition, just the church or the monastery up on the hill.
Well, I will say, right, like if Magpie, if you go cleric and you're kind of leading the sort of inquisition-y uh kind of governance, then you always have to kind of watch out for your like kind of like hippie bimbo friend who's like
Yeah.
having these like stripper parties and
Right? Be like,
burlesque
maybe
nights.
just
and you're like, tone it down. And then on the other side too, when you get to inquisition-y and you're like starting book burnings, you're
right.
like, girl, like you don't have to be burning
Like
books.
no.
The
Come
church
out
That
of
is
come
not
The
Come
church
out
is
of the
not
church
that
a little
crazy. The church
that
is
is
Right.
not
not
that crazy.
slay. That is not a slay.
I think
Not yet. You haven't seen Magpie's character.
Yeah.
It's
That's
because
an arc, baby. We
Magpie's
start one
character
place,
has
we
to
go to another.
It's because they
on.
have the balance.
Well, I think that's like kind of the cartoony version of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Not the serious version.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh man, I'm trying to find a picture. Oh yeah, I found it. You could
Uh-oh.
go if you wanted to slay as a inquisitorial
Oh
type.
no.
You,
I have been playing a lot of Dragon Age Inquisition lately.
You could go
So, like-
Zendaya at the Met Gala in 2015.
Yo!
Where's the picture?
That was
Listen,
so
those
good.
are
That was so
nice.
good.
Vibes.
Joan of Arc,
Ooh.
who
Slay.
Yes.
Gorgina.
But okay,
Oh, yeah.
so we kind of have like an idea, a vapor of an idea here. When it comes to the starting resources kind of selection, are you thinking ruler? Are you leaning towards like something else that's establishment, or that's kind of like connected to the town proper, or no? Do you have an idea?
I don't. I'll kind of like fit in where I'm needed,
Okay.
but definitely I'm feeling the leader role
Okay.
of just trying to like kind of.
And if we do kind of fit into
Go.
with cleric, that could put us in a position to have you settle in keep or temple as the ruler or the guide. Okay. Good notes. Let's see. Next on my docket would be, I already got Chris, and it would be Kevin. Do you have a thought on what you're kind of going for here?
I do. I was looking back at what I've done in the past, all the different types of characters I played, and I thought I'd actually like to play a rogue, but I think I can fit a rogue into a lot of those different town positions that we possibly have.
Okay.
And I actually think I'm going to play. I've, like I said in the past, I've played a lot of like merfolk and furbolg and all that. So I actually want to play a human, which is weird. Why would you play a role-playing game and then be a human, right? Because you're a human all the time. Like, what's the
It's
deal?
fun though.
I will.
Yeah, I know.
I will
Because
say,
you're a
Your
human
best
in a
friend
weird
almost
world.
plays them exclusively.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's true. That's Andy, though.
That's not true. Andy does.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
he's playing a
Yeah,
Dromite.
Yeah.
I'm just making jokes.
He's just teasing, man.
I do. Play
But
a
we
lot of
all
these.
know that John's favorite is human.
And the reason why I think that's the case
Yes.
is you are in a fantasy world, and everyone else is probably going to pick all of the other cool options.
Right.
And if you're just
Yeah.
playing a regular schmuck of a dude, you have a couple of routes you can go. You can go blend into the scenery, because most DMs are unimaginative hacks, and they're always humans all out and about and around. Option 2 is you can be the stupid Luke Skywalker to the whole situation, because you're just some schmuck who just showed up and you're like, what's going on? I don't understand draconic culture. How does a dragonborn clean his scales? Tell me how.
Oh
Or,
my
oh
God.
man, you're a fairy and a Goliath? I don't know anything
How
about
did
either
that
of those
happen?
societies.
Microaggressions. Yikes.
Yeah, you could totally be the microaggressing
All
guy
right,
who
well,
needs to be told how
You're talking me
things
out of
work
it
in
a
the
little
world.
bit here, John. I
Don't
don't want to be
do
microaggressive
it.
towards Shisho at all, or
No.
anybody. So
No, I don't mean to be like.
I know.
I don't mean to say like. Don't make it about like doing it in a negative way, like I just kind of jokingly did. You can be the
More of
character.
like
who-
more of like a curious, like, oh, how does that happen?
Right.
Like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
you
Tell me
brush
more
your
about your
teeth
culture.
too?
Like, I don't understand anything about your
I don't
culture.
know.
Please tell me about your culture. 'cause
Yeah.
it's-
Well, it
There's
sounds
just
like
like an
Elizabeth would be
everybody
good at
poop
that,
book
right?
for like every culture.
Yeah, but it
You
allows the
brush your
player
teeth?
who, so as the human, like if you're asking questions about the character's like class, background, and origin, like it gives the other player an option, the ball being passed to their court, to go, I am telling you, you stupid human, about all this cool stuff I made up and have backstory for. And then the stupid human's just like, awesome. Yeah, I was raised on a farm and I had a cow named Bessie. Like, don't need to pay too much attention to the background for a human schmuck, but you get to pay attention to the backgrounds of everyone else, which is great.
Mhm.
Okay. So that being said, I was thinking like a rogue human, like a Genarian, right? We're in like
Janarin, yeah.
We're in like Genaris or whatever, right?
Correct.
Like our area is, so that you'd be like a local person. And then like I think I could do any of the roles. I was thinking striker, but if somebody else wants to do that, I could even do something like expert or whatever.
Controller could be fun.
Well, you can
I
have
could do something
a
like
quick
that.
note on those roles. Everybody could be the same one. There's 5 of them. So that's more for your kind of just kind of fitting yourself into an understanding of how the character will operate. Not so much to have each one of those be filled. If you're the leader, you're probably not going to be like, well, all of the roles can fit with all of the resource positions. So no, there's no, I can't clause out one or the other. You could be a leader who's running the establishment. You're very focused on kind of like the kind of order and balance therein. You could be a striker who's running the town. You're very much kind of focused on like going out into the wilds and defeating the evils that are kind of plaguing the area. Whereas you could play the defender as the leader, and your goal is to just turtle shell here and make this town as strong and like defensive as possible. So again, it's more for how you plan on role playing the character more than anything. It's kind of a substitute in my mind for alignment.
Okay, I'll have to think about that one then. So I think as far as like since we're talking about like roles in the community, like I think I could pretty much fit into a lot of them, because as a rogue you're pretty like skillful and like I except for stuff like temple, I don't think it would be
You could be
although I
you could
think
take
you probably
charlatan.
even could. I think you probably even could be in the
Yeah.
temple too. You just like you don't have to be a cleric to be like the leader of the temple. You could actually be a rogue who maybe you're just a good talker. So actually, yeah. So I think I could probably fit into any of them.
Well, if you think about it, a rogue could probably be better at religious knowledge than a cleric could. You take a background that gives you religion, then you take expertise on your religion skill, so you double your
So you're even
proficiency
better.
bonus, and then smash that intelligence as high as you can, like no cleric ever does. You could definitely be a better, honestly, like the as they say, Satan knows the Bible better than most Christians. If that were a thing that mattered. But that said, yeah, you could fill any of those roles.
So that's what I was thinking. I guess that leaves Elizabeth, right? She's the last one that we haven't talked to. She says she's going to ask crazy questions to the like non-human races. That's what she's going to do.
Oh God.
Do you brush your teeth? I love.
Hey, I'm
Do
sorry.
dragonborns brush their teeth?
I said it weird. I'm sorry. I had a genuinely not awkward way of describing how I play that. But Elizabeth, do you have any thoughts as to role? Or...
I had a couple. I don't really know where. I guess they kind of fit a little bit in striker, but a little bit also potentially in controller. My first one that I just thought would be hilarious is like a druid, but she's kind of like a crunchy yoga mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like
she always has
like
snacks.
yeah, she's one of those people where she's just like involved in everything. She has like 3 kids. She's like she shows up to every town meeting and she just talks to everyone. Everyone knows her. But she's a little annoying because she's really trying to sell you on the kombucha.
Yes.
The other idea is I guess also kind of a druid, but more of like the like an MLM kind of mom, I don't know. I'm going for the mom angle because you said town, and I just was like a local.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Yeah, these.
I also not sold on any or
It
I
sounds
haven't,
like Druid is the class that you want to play, though.
a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I also
that-
have no idea on race.
That's absolutely fine.
So when you say
Oh.
MLM thing, do you mean like the top of like a like an Instagram influencer who has her
Yeah.
own makeup line that she gets people to buy like
Yeah.
100 of for?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Except she's
I
like
am-
a little bit more like and
lovely.
I'm so sorry, Shisho, but I stole a little bit of like from your characters.
Yeah.
But like selling like
Champy.
little like potions, like instead of like makeup, it's like potions and like little salves and things.
Oh, just
they
go
may
full
or may
goop
not
with
work.
it and, like,
Yeah.
little vaginal
Like Gwyneth-
fucking
Oh,
salts.
no.
no.
She's just Gwyneth
Yeah,
Paltrow.
she's not serving fish, but
Yeah.
Unless
not
you
like
went Merfolk.
Hermione.
But there is something fishy about it.
If you
Right.
went, if you went Merfolk. Anywho.
That would be too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too close.
Now you're treading on some shoes.
Balroth is in the
I'm
background
treading
just
in a
crying.
different in someone else's water.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like the ones that we can kind of focus in on, just to kind of cement them down. Would,
Wait, before we move on, I'm so sorry. Definitely, mom would be at the book club with
PTA
my character.
meetings and
Yeah.
Okay. So the roles we can focus in on and kind of bolt down. It sounds like just one. No one is really opposed to Chris taking up the mantle of defender, and also
No.
kind of leaning into the resource position of captain of the watch. Is that right?
It's all Chris.
Okay.
Correct.
So, Chris, you kind of have a head start here. If you'd like to go ahead and start creating your character, that would be great. Let me know in side chats if there are any questions you have regarding the experience costs and how that works. And
I think it's all pretty straightforward. It's just like how we've done it before, right?
correct. As we have it, the Defender's Aura basically grants you the reaction function of Sentinel,
Oh, nice.
which I will post in the Discord here momentarily. Right. Okay, cool. The next one we kind of have close, but not exactly bolted down, would be the Rogue, per Kevin. Now, it sounds like we want to kind of fill out the other kind of town functions. So much to say, so we have those kind of elucidated for you to kind of scope out what's kind of in the periphery on the outsides there. And it sounded too like there really wasn't an established set one for my brain's not working for Zach. So we haven't really settled that either. So 2 fillers. Let's focus then on the 2 that I believe are currently contesting. An MLM might serve as a establishment. And it sounds like someone else is trying to take that resource position as well. So fight amongst yourselves. But let's talk. So, as we discussed with Shijo, there's kind of 2 positions that you could fall into. You could kind of lead into magnate, but you could also lead into advisor. If you were to fall into the advisor position, you would be more bookish, but we don't have to have that be boring.
Can I
it's-
make a
Go ahead.
Can I make a third proposition?
Yeah.
Could also be mayor.
Could also be mayor.
If there's enough people underneath you in that MLM chain, or enough
Oh,
people
for-
that are related to enough people in that
Got
MLM
it.
chain amongst the commoners.
I see.
You could be the voice of the people amongst the town by
I
virtue
am
of
the
issue.
top. No.
The issue that we would have is that the establishment would be set towards earning and would have connections in a specific way, and
Correct.
Elizabeth's would have no function. I would grant no benefit for there being an MLM. There would just be nothing there.
That's kind of how
Right, it would
MLMs
just
are.
be
huh?
it would be
Yeah.
it would be social capital versus
Well,
actual financial capital.
No, I
because
see what you're saying.
doing is she's creating the relationships by being in the MLM, but they don't
Yeah.
generate revenue. What
Well,
MLM
no.
generates revenue?
They
for
don't
the town.
generate revenue for themselves.
Right.
They
Yeah.
would generate revenue for Elizabeth's character. What I'm telling you right now
Her
is
character as the
no,
mayor. Okay, no, yeah,
no,
that's fine.
because the
No, no,
town,
No, yeah.
like the whole town would just be bilking the peasants. Like, is that?
That's too real, man. It's too
Look
real.
how great you
It's
can
too
be.
real.
Literally, trickle down economics. Everyone wins. Everyone's just like paying me money.
Margaret Thatcher.
Sheila,
Pretty
you know, I'll just take the lore master for the anarcho-capitalists.
So, yeah.
great.
I'm also fine with like doing more of like the crunchy yoga mom, not necessarily like the boss babe MLM mom.
Wait, how many players do we have? We have
6.
6.
6, yeah.
1, 2, 3. But there's
There's
only
only-
4.
5.
There's
Five.
5 roles. There's 6 town.
The roles can be doubled up
positions.
on. The roles
we
could
have,
all
yeah.
be. You could all be the same one.
Well, why
We could
can't we
all be
both be
defenders.
magnets?
Magnate's not a
'Cause-
role; it's a resource position.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
so
I swear I remember reading about those resource positions in this, but I can't
find
it
them.
for the
It's
life
under
of
section
me.
step 2. Go to step 2.
Yeah.
Page 30.
It's all the way at step 2 at the end.
Yeah.
That's where you
Page
see
30.
the building a town.
Page
Yeah,
30.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
so
where
there's
you'll see the 6
One,
Oh, hey, look
two,
at that.
3, 4,
Yeah,
5.
and another thing too,
resource positions.
there are 6, but you do not have to fill them all. You do not have to fill any of them if you didn't want to. What I'm saying here is these positions will allow for you to kind of create a more immersed story, but you could just say, "Oh, I'm not actually going to be." The advisor. Instead, I'm going to be a steward of the tower, and I'm going to help this actual advisor, who will be an NPC that John creates, in their day-to-day. Or if you didn't want to actually have somebody be the ruler, you could say, well, the ruler is a John NPC, and that might give you some semblance of directionality, because the ruler would basically be kind of like making decisions based on what you're kind of putting towards the table, or also giving you endeavors to kind of engage with without you having to make a decision whether or not something I throw at you as lore is something worth following up on or doing, because the ruler is making the decision. So it's really your call as to what positions are filled. I know in the last one there was an advisor played by Andy, there was a ruler played by not named. There's the guide who was played by Zach. There was the magnate who was played by Tim, and there was no mayor.
Yes, there was. Dan came in late as the mayor.
No, Dan
Oh, did he?
was not.
He was
rolling.
not
he was
the
a
mayor?
guild. He
Or
was
was
like
he-
a
What
merchant.
was he?
He didn't have.
Merchant
A,
in
he
the
didn't
town?
have a role. He didn't have a.
Oh, he
Or,
didn't
he didn't
have
have
a
a resource
role.
position. Rather,
So
Okay.
we don't have a ruler.
you don't currently have one.
Yeah.
No,
The only thing we have right now is
Defender.
a captain.
or captain.
Yeah, captain.
Because
Sorry.
I was thinking too, Elizabeth, like Granola Mom MLM, perfect like dovetail with the church.
Yeah, well, I was also thinking like spiritual guide, like, okay, let's all like sit down
Chakras.
and like talk about this.
I like it.
Do I
still
have
don't know
Crunchy
this-
Mom friends? Absolutely.
For my note taking, Chris, what class were you thinking?
I'm going fighter.
Fighter.
I'm
Don't care about
I'm thinking
subclass.
battle master.
Awesome, it's a good one. And then defender and captain.
Also, I was wanting to go with a gem dragonborn.
Yeah.
Do we just need to put that? I just need to put that in manually into
Yeah, no. Hold on.
no.
Game settings. Compendium settings. this one. 1 second here. I need to. Okay. If you refresh your browser, it should have the options. Ignore any options that are listed, MHH or I forget the other one. Let's see if I can fix it.
MLM.
Eh,
Elizabeth already chose that one.
Oh, there we are. That's a lot more options.
Yeah, sorry
Can
about
I
that.
propose that we fill the positions with players?
Yeah, we definitely want to. I think it'd be an advantage. Like, I'll tell you what, last time I played a bard and he had no position, and I think if I had a position, like, I probably might not have been mentally abused.
We had to do a lot of like writing on the back end to get Leaf
Yeah.
into story beats.
Yeah,
Just because
true.
like, oh, and all of the town and the advisor and the temple leader are all coming together, and we'll get the town magnet because of the coin purse, and we're gonna need music, so let's hire the bard.
Yeah, see, you definitely want to be one of the roles. I mean, I think it would be an advantage. I mean, we might want to have if you're not like if you don't pick a role, maybe like John said, he puts you
need
as
to
you
tie
be
yourself
working with
really
somebody. You'd be
closely
working with
to
somebody.
one of the other players.
Yeah, I think
'cause
that's an
having
advantage.
having Leaf part was great for like RP walking around the town, but once we had to like do shit, it was tough because like why does he get a seat at the table? You
Well-
know, and that's the thing is like a big story beats are gonna be the knights at the round table, and that's you need to justify your seat at the table if I think if this story is gonna work best.
And being the best bard in the world didn't matter. I mean,
Not to that town, you know
not
what I
to the
mean?
town.
If he had been the best bard ever who also ran the inn that like made
Yeah.
the town the money, seat at the table.
It would have been.
But
different
just the
story.
best bard who was actually born and raised in another town who was just passing through. Like who had family in another town. Like it was tough. He was best friends with a lot of other characters and used for those like confidence in the side, but like
Okay. So just to get us back on track here, I want to
I'm
make
rethinking my character.
you are okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we want to focus in on Elizabeth doing either establishment or mayor? Those are the two options. Or sorry, the magnate or mayor. Those were the two that it sounded like were kind of close to the MLM. But again, the crunchy yoga druid mom lady, that could also kind of lean in those directions. Do you have an idea as to like what you think would fit better with Elizabeth, or which of the two rather you're kind of keen on?
Well, with the direction that we seem to be going, well, I guess I'm kind of a little bit at a standstill because
Okay.
if Shijo's rethinking their character, because
Okay.
I could go with the crunchy yoga mom, and instead of having like
So
a business that's a little sketchy,
what
maybe.
I'm going to throw out here is
Okay.
it sounds like you are not focused on being the ruler. Shijo, it sounds like you are not focused on being the ruler. Kevin, am I going to have to say it, or will you say it for me? You're not focused on being the ruler, right?
I'm not focused on it. Like if somebody else wants to do it, but I think we should have one of our people
Obviously,
be the ruler.
well, obviously that blasé kind of attitude as to who's
Yeah.
going to be the ruler or not is not really a good idea
I'm not
for
focused on
a
it.
person who's playing the ruler. So it
Right.
sounds like we have two people, and one of them is nebulous, and one has already kind of outlined an idea for someone who is magically or religiously inclined,
magpie.
possibly a
Magpie.
front line leading from the front
Yeah.
leader
Yeah, we
role.
could do that.
So it could be you, Magpie, but you could also, yield if Zach
Nah, let's
is-
do it. Fuck it.
All
Hell
right,
yeah.
cool.
Do it.
So we have a ruler, and we have a defender. So Magpie, as far as race and class, whatever you want, whatever you think would be good. I am just going to be putting in here in my notes. Leader is the role you've taken, and ruler is the other feature. I will say the inspiring word, I believe.
Mhm.
Technique says a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. As a bonus action, one individual of your choice that you can see and can hear you within 50 feet gains temporary hit points equal to 1d6 plus your charisma modifier. These uses recharge on a short rest, and I'll get you I'll put it in your character sheet once we get to it.
Okay.
Same for you.
So-
Same for you, Chris. When I get to the defender portion. Alright.
So in regards to races,
Yeah.
so like I'm kind of torn between Moon Elf and Kennelborn because magical puppy, why not?
We like Kennelborn. Kennelborn do actually have a number of towns already kind of pre-noted in background history established. Ezekiel, who was played by Brent in our Sunday game, was a member of a town called. Fuck if I remember. Reynard's Run, and he is actually the
That tracks.
second son of the House of Reynard, but the town was taken over by Aeonis, which are military force in the north of conglomerate nature.
That's
Yeah.
why everything
Clearly
starts
suck
with an
because
R.
their name doesn't start with an R.
Lots of R's. You would have to start your name with an R, I think.
Wow, wow.
No, you're not a paladin or a fighter. Never mind. You can name your character whatever you want. But yeah, Kennelborn are great.
Kennelborn are great.
Yeah, Upturn
Alright.
would be great.
Fuck it, let's go puppy. Puppy
Puppy
all
it
the
is.
way.
Puppy.
And regarding class, is cleric kind of where you're leaning?
Yeah, I mean cleric is probably gonna be
Cool.
like I am familiar with divine casting and whatnot.
And
Um,
it's pretty versatile. It kind
Sacred doggo.
of a
Sacred doggo!
sacred doggo. I'll do like a doge kind of face. No, doge has been ruined by coins. But yeah, perfect. So we have a ruler. We have a captain. We need the others if
And
we're
then-
trying to fill them. So we need a mayor, we need a magnate, we need a advisor, and we need a guide. Go ahead, Shita.
I'll be your controller advisor.
Okay.
Ooh.
Shito, controller.
What class are you thinking?
It's gonna be a bard.
We love it.
I may have to change my subclass, but that's
Okay. And then race, are we still going with Fairy Goliath?
okay. Yes. I'm like
I'm gonna
fully
put
committed to that.
I'm gonna put TCL for Tasha's Cauldron
Okay.
lineage, because they are, even though the race is those two things, they're not. Yeah, you kind of build the.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Okay. Cool. So then we snap back around to Kevin. A lot of the roles have been taken. It does still look like, based on Elizabeth's description of the druid she's idealizing here, is kind of in between establishment, but also mayor. Could
Sounds
go.
like she might go temple too, though, with the guy
Yeah.
the guide. Because
Well,
if she's a
yeah.
druid and she's
Oh,
not doing
okay.
sketchy business, then she
Less
was thinking-
MLM, more Crunchy
Yeah.
Yoga Mom.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
Crunchy Yoga
It's a-
Mom could be
yeah.
spiritual guide.
So
Yeah.
what do you want to do, Elizabeth? Because I'm easy. I could fit into a bunch of them.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I played the guide last time, and I'm like, that would be my least of the three choices. if I
Yeah, he
had
was
to pick
horrible
one.
at it.
It was
No.
terrible.
Horrible at it.
Awful
will-
character.
It's like it was-
I
People
will.
would, you know.
Go ahead.
just
Go
kidding.
ahead. I will say this: the guide was the person who was trying to bring the room together the most.
Mm.
So there will be moments where you're kind of having conflict between, so in our case, it was more kind of like the ruler and everyone else. But I don't think that'll be the case here. Mainly because I think the ruler are going to be taking in the information and then deciding they're in. So the guide will just be a very kind of structural support for that kind of religious advisement.
Mhm.
You'll also probably be the direct link for the ruler to Ir Morag, the monastery up on the mountain.
I'll go with guide.
Okay.
I feel like I could do that one pretty well.
All right.
Guide, and
Zach
we're
and I
looking
have
at
to fight for the rest.
what role?
Fight.
What role are you thinking?
for you, Elizabeth?
Oh, the role. Let me go back up here again. With the like crunchy yoga mom, I think I was thinking more of like the controller type
Okay.
where they're just like a let's see.
Let me tell you about all the ways that you're doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Wrong.
you're eating meat. Maybe you should go vegan because like my skin has never been
You
better.
thought about what that's doing to the rest of your body?
Yeah.
Right.
And then for race,
Uh,
I'll leave
I don't remember which book
I'll
that
leave
was.
that as
in.
a question mark for now. That's fine. Kevin, we're looking
Great
at
question.
human rogue, and we are looking at what role are you thinking?
All right. I guess I think I would prefer like the mayor, but I could because like most mayor. No, I don't even want to say that on online here. I was going to mention being a criminal or something. I didn't just say that. So I want to know what Zach
True
wants to do though,
mayors.
because I could also see myself being the magnate. I just don't think that would be as much fun. So
For
I
sure.
think I would rather do so. Like Zach, I would rather do the mayor, but if you really don't want to be the magnate, I'll switch with you. What do you want to do? They both start with an M.
It doesn't matter. I think my idea for a mayor was more of a union leader than an actual mayor. And I was also thinking of doing either like a Warforge or an Autonome to make them like an automated being that like strikes back and becomes like a voice for the workers of the town. The idea I had for a magnate was more like some kind of farmer. I think like real salt of the earth kind of person who like makes a lot of their funds by like feeding the monastery and
To-
producing.
to kind of cut in real quick. So
Yeah.
that kind of like baseline of feeding the people is already kind of like a part of the sauce. It's already just understood. If you were a farmer who was kind of involved in that kind of atmosphere, and the magnate like establishment was something that kind of rose above that, it could be the case that you're a farmer, but you're also a person who has like a vineyard, and the vineyard would be the thing that's actually bringing in the money for the town.
Right.
Because again, the town feeds itself. It's self-sufficient. Everything is
That's
kind
yeah.
of,
It would have been some sort of exotic thing. Like it could even be like exotic plants that we
Ooh,
grow
yeah.
in the trees outside, like you know
an
what
orchard
I mean?
of
Like,
some
an
kind.
orchard that like that we maintain as a town that like we can ship places or like that sort of some even like a fruit producing thing that's like a specialty that we brew a special kind of like fruit wine with, you know.
Awesome.
That like
Dragon
that would have
fruit.
been my idea for a magnate
So-
was some sort of like resource production, but like he's gonna be real salt of the earth motherfucker.
Gotcha. So that being said, Kevin, that kind
So
of
a
puts the
hippie.
ball more in your court.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
of those
yeah.
two ideas do you think was cooler? And do you want to play against versus play with?
Yeah, let's do it that way. Which
Yeah,
one
yeah.
sounded more fun to you? Do you want the automaton who's like fighting back for the workers' rights and the laborers, and like is a man of the people who's a
For the
mayor? Who, like,
proletariat, just say it.
yeah, dude, he's. I'm going full commie on that one. We're making a tanky boy.
What are
God.
weapons going to be? A hammer and a sickle? Jeez.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm down.
All right. Well,
It's a
it
bit
sounds
on
like
the nose. But...
it sounds like Zach really wants to do that one. I was
Well, the other idea is like
I
the
mean-
the farm was the guy who like grows these exotic plants that are like a
I
specialty.
do like,
Kind
yeah.
of, kind of severing in
There
though.
are like multiple different disciplines. There are
Hold on.
some that are just like
Severing in real quick. I think Kevin, as a rogue, could be an advisor who runs a thieves guild, and maybe like the town smuggling, the town kind of trade is something a little bit more devious than others might like. Or maybe he's doing something on the level and he just runs it, really well as a rogue.
Yeah, I was thinking actually for my characters that like a lot of people don't really know that he's a rogue, but like so actually if I was the magnate, I would go with something like a vineyard or something. That sounds really cool.
Awesome.
Because I love wine. I love to drink. I'll just come right out and say it.
We'll be
So,
doing a lot of it.
I mean, yeah, we'll be doing it. Yeah. So so that would be cool. But so if you would rather, it sounds like Zach, you're really like into the mayor. Like you'd rather the mayor job.
I
I'd
had
go
like a
ahead.
bunch of ideas. Yeah,
go
well,
ahead and
whatever
do
works for you
Magnet.
guys.
Okay. So then we have Kevin for Magnate. Do you want to be an expert, or do you want to be a other different role? It seems like the way
Seems
you
like-
kind of described it, expert might be really good. So
Yeah,
you
it sounds
can-
like that might be the way to go. I was gonna go like rogue, and I was gonna, they have so many skills and stuff. So
Yeah,
I was gonna really
expert's a
be
good
like
one.
a skill fiend. So
Awesome.
I'll go expert. Yeah,
And
I'll go
then-
expert.
Zach, we're looking at an auto gnome or a undaunted.
I think I'm gonna go auto gnome.
Okay, and
I think
then
it'll be better to be a tiny little guy.
I will say this too: gnomes in this region are quite populous, due in part
Yeah,
to
that's what I
Kurt
figured.
Gosler's being migrated from Rostegar here.
That's
post
right.
Pyramid
I
Head.
imagine he's a very, very old,
It's-
auto gnome whose creator has long since left the town.
It's very much
He runs on DOS.
it's very much probable that your creator was a Kurt Gosler. Just so you
For
are
sure.
aware.
No ill will towards the creator. I
Absolutely.
Yeah,
just think
actually,
he's
actually,
struck
Zach was
out
was one of
towards-
the ones who wasn't as bad because he just didn't like him because he was a
Dude,
a
I saved
barbarian
your
and
ass so
Yeah,
many times.
you
as
actually-
Brack.
You were actually one of the better ones.
And then what class are we thinking for the auto gnome?
Hey, I'm torn at the moment. I need
Okay.
more time on that.
And then we're looking at mayor as the position. We have a role at all or no? Oh, I already asked that.
I think
No, I didn't ask that. So
no,
yeah,
you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't.
role and class are what we're looking at for you. If you need time, take it. Let's go
Do
ahead.
we have a striker?
We have a fighter, we have a
No.
cleric, we have a controller. Or sorry, we have a defender, we have a leader, we have a controller, we have an expert, we have a controller. So
We don't have a striker.
have a striker. If you take striker, that would put us into one of each plus double controller.
I do like the idea of him. It's not like striker in like a anti-social kind of way, but striker in like a not with the ruling body kind of social norm kind of way, if that makes sense.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's I'm not out for the ultra violence or
Right.
whatever, but
We love it. Okay, so then striker for that, and then you work on that class.
Yeah.
Good sir. All right, we're moving on.
Yeah, I need time on the class.
Pretty good timing on that first bit, by the way. Thanks everybody for working with me here. Any kind of like issues with the structure of the landscape we've developed here so far? Does anybody have any questions regarding it? Does anybody have any questions for other players regarding their characters and kind of like maybe formulation of connections here? We kind of had a subtle mention of Chijo's character being advisor directly to Magpie's character, maybe serving as like a vizier, like you know your own personal Jafar.
Oh my god.
but
Did
not-
you get a fancy hat?
Not like Jafar, but like maybe I don't know. But yeah, that I could probably write in or draw a fancy hat.
Hell yeah.
But that's
Then can Elizabeth make the fancy hat
In
and send
real
it to
life.
Shijo so they can wear the fancy hat?
Yeah.
only if we
I'm
can also
busy.
get 2 miniature versions of those hats to put on my cat and Magpie's cat, so we have fancy cats and fancy hats. How about that? Moving on. So we've
Then
started.
they be twins.
We've started with the
Yes.
starting resources portion of the town creation by filling in the resource roles therein. So we're moving into the second portion, which would be the town's history. So you as a group need to select one person to be the representative of the group to roll a D100.
Magpie.
Oh, Jesus.
Magpie.
Alright.
But, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so 41 plus 20 is 61 years. So the town of, name has not been made up yet, is 61
Taunton.
years old. Did you say Taunton?
No. Don't do
Because
that.
we had Bearton in the Tuesday game right before
It's
this.
true.
It was called
We're
Bearton
not-
because it was a
don't do
town
Taunton.
with a lord that was a
No.
bear.
It's gonna have a cute
So
name.
this could be
Where is it
Dogton.
located on the map?
It could be.
It could be Dogton.
There's
because,
like a.
Dogwoods.
There we are.
Okay.
Dogville.
could be Dogwood.
No.
It's right in the woods there.
Yeah.
Muttwoods.
The Muttwood.
I feel like that takes the shine away from Bearton. We got to get
It's true,
creative.
It's true.
Very good, but don't focus on the town name now. Not terribly important. So we're gonna have some rolls
Literally all I
here,
do is name things.
and actually this works out perfectly. It'll be one for every 10 years, so everybody gets to roll once. So we'll start with Zach. Go ahead, roll a d20, please.
Oh, Zach.
All right.
Good night.
So the current year is 1056 minus 61. Town was established in the year 995 CA. On that first year, which would be 996, a roll of an 8 decline. Political power for the town decreases due to negative circumstances. The ruler's influence is reduced by 1d10.
You want me to roll that?
Go ahead.
It's only 2.
Good deal. All right. Next on the docket, Elizabeth, go ahead and roll a d20. All right.
Oh,
The town is met with a series of mishaps and disasters, be it doom from some supernatural origin or more mundane matters. The town is brought to a low state that is considered destroyed. Your town's influence is reduced by 10 again, and the ruler's leadership is reduced by 1d4. So go ahead and roll a d10, Elizabeth.
1.
Oh, that's good.
Let's change our name to Pigpen. That's the name of our
I'm-
town.
I'm like,
And
how
go
do
ahead,
I roll 2 1s in a row?
roll me a d4. All right,
4.
so that'll be 5 leadership reduction.
I'm so sorry.
Nobody respects our dog leader.
And then roll a d10.
No.
Again?
Mhm.
6.
So minus 6,000 gold pieces from the starting coffers.
Oh no.
Elizabeth, I'm Magnet. That hurts. That's the money you're talking
I'm so
about.
sorry.
Less wine.
I'm so sorry.
998. All right.
I know it's all random.
Elizabeth, you rolled poorly. Gina,
The entire
everybody,
time.
everybody just rolls doom every time.
Yeah.
do.
Oh, that's gonna be the worst town
We're
ever.
building it up.
Go ahead and roll a d20, Gisha. Right. Infrastructure. The time is spent working on the problems in the town, mainly the doom.
Yay!
Choose any one penalty rolled either before or after this roll. The penalty is no longer affecting the town.
Ooh.
Nice.
So-
That's a get out of jail free card.
Infrastructure. I will, as a DM, tell you if they get better rolling forward. Your current biggest problem would be the leadership reduction. So that would probably be the penalty you'd want to remove.
Minus 5 leadership is rough.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So sorry.
Hold on. 990. 1005. 1015. 1025. 1035. All right, next decade. Go ahead and give me a roll, Kevin.
Oh no. All right. We'll see. Is this supposed to be a good roll, right?
Yeah, you want to roll good.
Do you want me to roll good? Oh gosh, guys. 6.
Right.
I don't know. if that's good.
Scandal. The town's establishment has
Oh,
had
no.
issues that affect the bottom line. The establishment's generation roll is reduced by 1 each time it is rolled. Scandal. That means when you are rolling for resources through the establishment. Cool. Okay. Next up then.
Sorry guys, that wasn't any better.
Chris, D20 roll. Please roll over a 10.
Oh, God.
1045.
Shit.
Defeat. A battle between nobles of your town and a nearby one led to your town's defeat. Morale is set low, and the winning town has perhaps forcibly married into the ruling house of your town, creating a contentious league. The ruler's leadership is once again reduced by a d4 plus 1. Chris, go ahead and roll a d4.
D4.
5
I'm
again.
not the only one. I am
Yeah, you
not
know
the
what?
only one.
There's only one way to go in this. We can only get better, right?
Yeah, right.
We can't ruin
Can
a
only
bad
get
Our
Wow.
town is just like a shithole.
It's like,
So does this mean like I was forced into marriage?
maybe.
we will discuss.
Maybe a tabaxi. They made the dog marry a tabaxi. It's really
This is
Oh
scandalous.
That's
my
awkward.
god.
All right. Last but not least, Magpie, roll a d20 and please roll over a 10.
God, fucking roll a 19. So
Thank
nothing.
you.
11, yeah.
Favor. You have been granted a favor from one nearby town. This favor is nebulous and can be called in when your town requires aid. Okay, great.
It's out of pity.
Needs a lot of help.
Okay, so let's discuss what we've got here. So in the beginning, the town was established, probably during the expansionist era.
Don't we have one more?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, everybody rolled.
Oh, yeah.
So, like I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted, the town was established during the expansion of the barony. The barony was able to kind of cement a lot of the towns nearby, relatively easy, nearby rather to the capital of the barony. But your town, due to its position, was kind of far away. This kind of led, I don't mean like in actual distance, it was considered far away due to its placement in the woods. You were creating great resources. It was just too much of a hassle to kind of keep this connection than to just let it decline, which led to the very initial decline from its establishment within the first decade. After that fact, because of its kind of self-removed position, the town was actually attacked by wilders inside of the woods around you. It caused a lot of hassle for the town and its ruling body at the time, and kind of left the town in a bit of ruin thereafter. But fortunately for the town, Irmorag started to be formed in 1025, and so they saw a necessity to make sure that the town's infrastructure was made sound. So they established a fortified wall around the town's center proper, allowing for establishments and the tower and everything to kind of form within. But a scandal thereafter manifested. Magpie's character's father, depending on your age. Have you decided? Oh, that's another thing we need to do real quick. Sorry. Before I continue into the last block, I need to see who was alive through some of this, who wasn't. So, Chris, have you decided on a array? Or rather, a
I was
foundation?
going with. I wrote it down here. I was going with the Destined Foundation
Which will
array.
give you the adult classifier,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Magpie, have you settled on a foundation? This would be on page,
7.
yes, it's kind of starting on 6, but then moving into 7.
Yeah.
You'll have 6,500 experience to start the game, and you can spend that on the features that are present on page 7 and thereon. This will determine your character's age, either adolescent, adult, or venerable. If not, that's okay. We can move on to someone who might already have it. Does anyone else have an idea as to what their foundation? Jijo, go ahead.
Yeah, I have Destined.
Destin as well. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't decided yet, but I probably won't be an old person. Sorry. This is my imagination we're talking here.
Yeah, I don't want to play a human, but I don't want to play an old person.
All right,
A
not
little
that
too
I'm
close
not
to home,
old. people
Kevin.
that are
Yeah, you're
watching.
not. Yeah,
I'm actually really
look
young.
at that baby
I'm,
face.
I'm freaking 20 years old. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Just to
At
play an old
most
person.
25.
Yeah,
Whoa.
25 is old.
it is.
Ancient.
I had inspiration in Kevin's game.
Um,
Okay, great. Cool. Kevin's still thinking about that. Elizabeth, do you have an idea for foundation? And
I
again,
was just going.
I know adolescent doesn't sound appealing, but it could be the case that you are now the person who's come to charge in your specific field or profession after someone has been supplanted. So don't think that adolescent is bad. Yeah, it's expensive, but I mean, those stats are pretty bonkers.
so
Yeah.
sorry, I was just thinking Paragon or
Okay.
Heroic Sign
Okay.
would be interesting to play.
Yeah, Paragon is really good stat line wise. It's the highest stats you can kind of achieve in this kind of generation process. A heroic sign isn't a part of your foundation. It's something you'd buy
Oh,
in addition to these others. However, the Paragon Foundation is going to kill all of your experience purchasing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But God, are you a golden baby?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. You would definitely be insane statistically. 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 12. And a luck point.
And a luck point.
Yep. It's pretty strong.
Good.
Okay.
Strong puppy.
But yeah, you'll be a first level character where some others might be fifth. You'll gain
Okay, so-
experience pretty quick.
Yeah,
Okay,
it'll
real
probably
quick.
be between Destined or Paragon.
Okay.
Just kind of where it would fit into the story best.
I'm gonna go ahead and write you in for Paragon for the time being.
Okay.
So adolescent.
Do it.
For the time being.
Okay, let's do it. I don't even
Elizabeth?
care.
It sounds like
Paragon.
you're kind of going for possibly someone a bit more venerable, but if it's not your choice to do that, then I'm not going to say gun for it.
Well, I was thinking that, because I definitely think either adult or venerable.
Well, yeah. More so the foundation specifically. Like Senior Foundation
Yeah.
has a boon that I'm not telling anyone because
Right.
I guarantee you we would be playing a senior's home if I did tell you what the boon was. It would literally just be everybody gumming at the world but
Because
again,
they have no teeth.
don't let that
Yeah,
sway
we could play Golden Girls again.
don't let that sway you
Remember we played Golden
into
Girls?
your
100%.
choices. The Worldly Foundation is pretty good.
Yeah,
In
It
that
is good.
you gain a second background, which means you gain 2 feats at first. Because backgrounds give you a feat.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind too. But yeah, you would be older.
Yeah. Honestly, if we're I think I'm gonna go with that one.
Worldly?
Because yeah.
Okay.
Because I think like an older, like crunchy mom sounds good.
I love it.
She's like everyone's mom.
Yeah, like she's
A real
like
guide.
the kids are the kids have like left the nest and now she's collecting more children.
Hmm.
You know those
Oh,
like,
yes.
grandma
I am that
those-
person and I don't even have kids.
Yeah, you're like collecting the
Do you need a
children and
snack?
you're like yeah, she has like granola in her purse. I don't know.
More than fair.
It's all,
But
I still don't know like what race though, unfortunately.
no rush. We can definitely help out with that here in a second. I do want to focus in on Zach though. Do you have an idea as to
Worldly.
Worldly as well? So we have 2 venerables. So you actually have probably been here since the town's inception. Like you've probably seen all of the stuff we've already talked about. The same would probably be true of Elizabeth's character. Magpie, you are the result of these events, and the others, it sounds like,
Mm.
again, if Kevin does lean into adult, are kind of more like in the in between. So focusing back on your roles here, the infrastructure was supplanted or placed in place by Morag because they wanted a good strong structure at the base of their mountain that was in league and helping and protecting them. This came as a slight to the nearby town, whose name I have not made, but for all intents and purposes, the nearby town is just down the way a bit. Oops. There we go. You see it?
Yep.
Okay. And I will name that town and come up with backstory on it, or you'll help me do so in this regard. So that scandal, that initial scandal, was something related to what would eventually become the reason for Magpie's character's position being kind of connected to the other town. That scandal had something to do with the nobility of the other town, and the other town basically politically devastated Magpie's character's parents, to the point where they were no longer really the ruling body of it. And the leadership was affected therein negatively. And Magpie's character, whatever, I don't think. Oh yeah, Kenilworth. So her parentage would actually be a part of both of these houses, both of these ruling houses, which are now Kenilworth. So the Kenilborn parentage of Magpie is actually your dad was the original, or your mom, whichever, was the ruler of this town up until the scandal that was between the ruler of the town and this other town. And to kind of, they politically destroyed your parent and forced a union between their house and your parents' house, and you are the offspring of that.
Ooh.
So you're probably, because that would be like Scandal era, I would say you're probably somewhere, because Kenilborn age about the same rate as humans, you're probably somewhere in your like mid-teens.
Okay.
You were basically generated at the end of the scandal or in the midst of the scandal. Maybe you are the scandal.
Your puppy dog, Tutankhamun.
It could be the case.
Yeah.
So, okay, who do you want, regarding parentage, mom and dad, who would you want to have been the ruler beforehand? Your mother or your father?
Mother.
Okay. And not uncommon. I imagine Kenilworth are probably more matriarchal because dads actually, kind of migrate away from the situation anyways. So, like dogs.
Deadbeat dad.
Some are really great. Some of them are just like, okay, whatever, bye. It's like cats too. Anywho, so your mother was the ruler of the town. During that time, her husband had gone missing in the woods, and your mother sired you with the ruler's brother of the other town,
Ooh.
who came to visit with the ruler's the ruler, who was another matriarch, and this led to you being born. The scandal was that they did not want that to come to pass. Your father returned and knew, as a father might know, that you weren't his progeny, and was very upset by this. Also that, when he found out who it was that you happened to be related to. The other family took great political interest in the family during 1045 and on, and kind of isolated your father and caused him to remove himself from the position in a politically dramatic fashion. And what I mean by that is they basically caused him to kind of overextend himself politically to a point where he was absolutely just seen as bad news, and the only recourse that he had was to go up the mountain to the monastery to serve at the pleasure of the abbess of the monastery. So he's still around, he's just up in the mountain. Does that sound good?
Yes.
The favor that you acquired can come from the town we just discussed, which will be this other town I'll be generating, whose rulership is Kenilborn, and whose matriarch's brother was is your father. But again, that has not become a situation that's been put to the open air. Instead, the reason why your leadership score has been lessened by the defeat, or lessened in the praetorship in the Doom, is because you haven't had anybody to kind of teach you and full focus kind of on you, because they were dealing with their own matters at hand, and then we'll say that your mom passed away. Although we don't have to. Do you want your mom to be alive?
Yeah.
Yeah, she wouldn't. I mean, she would be. She'd have to be really old for it to be the case, because she'd be ruler otherwise.
Hmm.
Okay, so your mom passed away, and the favor came at the behest of the other matriarch, because you are her family, and she wants you to basically have known that, yeah, I mean, you're doing pretty bad right now, but if you ever need my help, you'll have this favor to call in with this other house, this other town. I like that. It's pretty good. Any thoughts? Again, this is me riffing, so this isn't cemented. If you have any kind of adjustments you'd like to kind of needle in there, that's fine. It's just we do have to adhere to the beat to beat.
No, I mean, that honestly gives me a lot to work with. And I think aligns with kind of like the personality that was starting to form as well. Just like kind of uncertain, but willing to put forth the effort and just stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we would say that the initial formation of this town, just to kind of keep it in track with where like my head is historically, was started by your family, but it was also started as a portion of the barony of Ulamon. Or it wasn't initially started as a part of the barony of Ulamon. It was started as a part of like a conglomerate structure, and that's why they placed an autonome into the town to kind of help keep order in the town. And your function has changed since then. When your actual like assistant and the original ruler died during the Doom, and Urmarag kind of came in and brought in infrastructure, they allowed the people who were kind of in the area before the conglomerate tried to set up this town to take the ownership of this town, because it was theirs, and that ended up being the Kenilworth family that Magpie's character is a part of. Does that sound good? And so you have this autonome who is very kind of indentured to the people of the town, some of them being survivors from the Doom that happened in 1005, and some of them being new folk who were kind of brought in from the woods around when the Kenilworth kind of took their seat of power in this area. I would say that Chris, you were probably a displaced individual. Based on how old are you? Do you think adult-wise?
I
20,
put like I just put 30 in for now, but I could go higher than that.
Okay.
I'm not set on that.
It could be the case that your parentage was kind of brought into this area to help with the infrastructure work that was being kind of called for by Urmarag. So it may be the case that your parents were members of like guild artisans. They were members of guilds that dealt with like masonry and the like, and they worked very hard for what they had in this town and kind of like established themselves. And you kind of were like that kid who didn't really appreciate what he had early on, kind of squandered it in your early years, and the political environment you weren't even well aware of. But then when you kind of grew to an age where you like realized what was going on and you kind of understood what was going on with your parents, you realized that it was important to kind of rise up and like defend what they had built, since you weren't very good at building things yourself. Sound good?
I like it.
All right. Just ripping again. If I start telling you story, it's me, my brain just going. If you want to stop, addendum, please. I love bouncing stuff off. Zach, you're good with the autonome, kind of just having been here since the beginning with the old regime before the Doom, and then like, oh, back in my day.
100%.
I love it. And if you can do a Kevin impersonation to sound as much like his Gilbert character, that would.
I don't
Really?
even remember. I don't even remember what he sounded like. Do you remember?
He sounded like Raymond.
Like
Ray Romano.
like everybody loves Raymond.
Yeah.
Wait,
go
just to
ahead.
get it out there, I just want to know. Like, I want you to actually say it. How old is Venerable in this game? Here?
So it depends on your race.
Yeah, if you're human,
It
how
would
old is Venerable?
over
So
40.
I need to know this. Was over 40?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm gonna have to walk out.
Past your useful age in society.
Oh
Say
my
it, John.
gosh!
Hold on.
I think I'm having a heart attack. Okay,
Hold
well
on.
that's not bad then. I guess I could play a character that was my age, and I'd be
The
considered venerable.
shade of it all. Wow.
I'm double checking something here. Hold on.
Okay, I was thinking like 70
John.
maybe.
For
I mean, what
humans,
were-
according to third edition, 35 would have put you into a better.
What the
mood.
fuck?
What?
Ow!
I'm gonna do
That
some.
hurt.
You gotta explain
Did like
this,
a
'cause
13-year-old write third edition?
Right?
I might actually
Yeah,
be a venerable.
actually.
They got all the good stuff
Probably.
in the beginning game.
So, okay. Sorry, no apologies.
Alright.
Let me correct. For a human in third edition, 15 was adulthood. I'm thinking that teenage years for me is going to be adolescence, though. Okay, middle age is 35 years. Old, which
I'm
is
not playing an 8-year-old, John.
kind of you're not. No, you're kind of in your teens. It's fine. 53 was old and 70 was venerable back in third edition. But because I don't have an
70.
old category, it would be 53 through 70 is what I would do for venerable.
It
And
changes
so on.
my whole view of this immensely. I was thinking 70 plus was venerable.
Yeah, if you don't want to do
I might
50
do
something.
venerable. I might do venerable now because if you're talking
Yeah, 50, 53,
50.
55, that's fine.
not too bad. That's
Yeah.
not too bad. And then you get all this good shit. Like all the good shit isn't that right? That's why Zach's doing it. He likes all the good
He
shit.
took
See?
well, he took worldly because he wants a second background. I think he wants to kind of
Oh, I know that's really good too. Second
create
background.
two kind of functions there.
Oh,
Now, I will say it's not kind of alluded to in these, and you're kind of like, wow, this is a really cheap price for this. Venerable does have its own penalties, so those will be kind of discussed. Adolescence also has its own penalties, which we'll discuss. You know what doesn't have any penalties or boons? Because there are boons for Venerable and there are boons for Adolescent as well, but besides what you kind of get the structure. But the thing that's like in the middle is adult. You don't have any special function. Adolescents are obviously not going to be as knowledgeable. They really haven't been around that long. They may have a cunning to them, which is statistically fine, but there will be kind of things that they won't be able to kind of connect to. And then the Venerable will have kind of advantage in that nature. Not really the mechanical term, but since they've been around for it, they kind of have an understanding as to how it went. Whereas Venerable might have issues physically due to their age.
wow. I had to get that out in the open, guys. Had to air that out. But now I am thinking of doing venerable now. That's,
Okay.
That's possible for me.
I love that for you.
They've got great stuff too. They have great stuff. I can't like put that down. Worldly is really good. Look at just Senior Foundation. You get some of surprise crap. You don't even
Yeah.
know what it is.
If you want, yeah, we can definitely do
And
that.
then he'll like tell me, okay, this is your surprise stuff. You
It's
wake up
prunes,
every
Kevin.
night.
You have
at 2
osteoporosis.
You have osteoporosis now. You wake up every night at 2 a.m. and you have to go to the bathroom.
And you can't, and you just can't.
Oh,
Okay,
I could just do an old person voice too, you know.
so I've moved the map. Let's switch the music up too. Or I'm going to try to. The map that we're showing here is the map of your town.
There's music too. This is great.
So this is whatever the town's name ends up being.
Oh.
That being said, you can see the structures we've kind of talked about. Some of them are not defined. Some of them are going to be defined by you. You should be able to pick up the 1 through 6 that are kind of present in the center of the town. Is that true or no? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Cool. So we have a couple of really ornate looking structures, and this map is brought to us by a Patreon group known as Burrowbound. The name of this town is actually Crabwell, and it has its own write-up, its own story. It's a really cool group of Patreon folks that I'm going to be stealing a lot of maps from, and have stolen maps from. Not stolen, I pay them and such, but I use their maps. I don't use the lore they have for their towns, although it is exceptional. I like my own stuff. That said, they have some structures here that are kind of already defined, but they don't have to be those for your describing of it. This town is for you to formulate. So I'll kind of go through those real quick so you have like a vibe of the town. This position here up in the top right is actually a magical prison in the Crabwell like information. In my brain space and also the handouts they have of it, it's kind of like a tower structure. And that could very much fit the tower structure that you have. I also have interior maps of this position, which I'll be getting out to you once we kind of get into the end gap of it. But it could very much well serve as the tower location. It could serve as anything that you'd like, to be sure. This version of the map, I did remove an element that was kind of in the town square that I didn't like too well, but I do have means of kind of forming a marketplace in this area if you are interested in having something like that. The next kind of position we have is this here, which I am pinging. That is the temple that they have in their write-ups. It is a temple of in their write-ups, the All-Mother. And if you want, you can make this a temple of Alwyn, Goddess of Life. Or if you want to kind of follow what's going on up the mountain a ways, it could be a temple of Batavius. But since our guide is more natural, like a nature aspect, primal druid character, it might be the case that it's just, a shrine or a temple to nature itself.
Which is the one you're talking about right now? Sorry, I missed the ping.
That's
that
ping.
okay. That's the ping.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
No problem. And then we have this position on the far side, which according to the write-up is like the bell tower is what they call it. It's in their lore kind of where the leadership of the town kind of is. The leader of their town is called a bell ringer. But that's, again, not something that you have to adhere to. It's just the lore that they have. But this structure here would be kind of like a... trying to think of the name. Yep. I'm trying to think of the name of... like a... wherever a mayor lives.
It does look like
Mayor's
like a
house?
Capitol
I think the
building.
mayor just
Capitol
lives in a
building.
house.
It does look like a
Capitol
Capitol
building.
building. It because of the
Cap-
steps and everything. It looks very much like
I-
it could be a court also, a court.
Wait, which one are we? The square one now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. That could
Okay.
be your leader building.
Pokey focus.
But there are obviously a bunch of other buildings. The only other building that they had that was kind of noteworthy, and they
What's
have...
the one in the top right?
that was the prison that I had mentioned.
Okay.
But it can be whatever you want. And then this
Could be a
building down
tower.
here was like a really detailed oh my god, why is my brain not working? Stables, a place where horses of kind of
Ooh.
certain progeny
Click
are
on
kind
that. Click on that.
of south of you there.
Oh, okay.
Wait, do that
Like
again.
right outside the
Is
wall.
it this one? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
No
you know
problem.
what it is? It's this thing is so like zoomed out that your ping doesn't get very big, so it's hard to see.
Interesting.
This is if your character is a venerable character.
Hold on. Let
This
him
is
get
what
his
it's going to be
readers.
like. This is-
But yeah, that being said, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll assume that 1 will be the position for your keep. So this will be where the ruler is kind of based out of. So if you want to just kind of take the lead, Magpie, you can pick any building in this space and just put the 1 on it. But again, the other buildings that are not defined by you will be defined by me. So there are sub numbers. We'll get to those in a bit. But for the first things first, let's deal with the resources. So where would you like the keep to be? The keep doesn't have to be a keep. It could just be a building. It's just where the leader, the ruler, does their business.
Okay. So just because it's pretty, I kind of like the one on the top right, but the square looking one
Could be
probably makes the most sense.
the square looking one could be a temple. The square looking one could be a
Uh-huh.
establishment. The square looking one could be a mayor's hall. It could be a lot of different things. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be. It really just the group as a whole deciding what building serves what purpose. So
Okay.
it could also be the tower, in that it could be like a place where lore is kept. It could be a library. I mean,
Ooh.
it could be anything. I just,
Okay.
yeah, don't think about that. Think about like, what building do you think suits your purposes for leadership?
Probably, yeah, the top right one.
Okay, go ahead and move the one to there. And
I also feel like it's a little higher elevation, so like you can kind of see the rest of the
yeah,
town.
I mean, I guess that's how it doesn't really look like it. I mean, it's probably taller than some things. But
Yeah,
sure.
like it's taller.
Next on the docket, for the resources would be the tower. And so again, it doesn't have to be a tower, but the purposes of the tower would still be the same. Jijo, as the advisor, are there any positions here that you think kind of suit? You just pointed at a building. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I want to be close to the seat of power.
So here?
Let's be here.
Perfect. And next on the docket, then we have the temple. So Elizabeth, where do you think would be? I mean, again, this one is pretty cool, straight as is, but again, not mandatory. Any other building would be fine. Muted if you're talking though.
I really like that one. I like the domed roof. That's the one I was like,
Yeah, wait till you see the inside. I think it fits perfect with what you're going for. Go ahead and
hell
move it on
yeah.
over there. For the three
Number
there.
three.
Mhm.
Oh, too
You went a
far.
little too far. Okay, next then on the docket would be the establishment. So this would be Kevin. You said you kind of wanted to be like a vineyard type. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that is what I was thinking. And I think I have a couple options here. I'll
Yeah.
talk to the group about it. I'm thinking, how about this building? Because I like from it, I could oversee the vineyards that were out past the wall. Like you would like I was thinking it would make sense to be in a house, the vineyard, but if we're gonna get attacked and stuff, it would make more sense to be inside the walls so you didn't get killed.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a very large building. Since you're kind of the main source of income, it kind of seems appropriate that it would be the wealthiest looking building.
And I mean, you need a space to ferment all of the product. Like it's
Oh,
grown
that's
out
true.
there, but you need a place to store casks. It could just be
Exactly.
inside of the building as much as anywhere else.
See,
I love it.
now you're thinking.
I'll give
Absolutely.
It to you. I'll
Go
give
ahead
it
and
to
move
you.
it on over there.
All right, that's what I was thinking. As that was my number one choice.
Now, obviously there are a couple of positions that are not like listed as resources, but will matter. The Autonome has to have a place where he lives. It could also be a place where the Autonome operates out of, possibly a central location where everyone can kind of get to. But yeah, this is basically just house choosing time. So I'm going to say, because of the order I have it written in the handout, you can go in this order or you can fight about it. But Mayor, you need to choose a building which would serve as your house. And then Chris, the same is true of you. Now the barracks and the watch are just in the walls. The towers are actually kind of servant of like where the guard will actually sleep. So your watch isn't really like, they don't have a barracks per se. They're just kind of in the walls. So you can live anywhere in this town or outside.
Oh
of it.
yeah.
I will say for you, another important location that you have is in the bottom right corner. You should see a couple of tents located there with a camp structure. That road south winds down and then kind of heads to the east and then up Mount Ermarag. That camp is a permanent fixture, which occasionally changes, but mostly permanent, semi-permanent. And that's where representatives from Ermarag go to stay when they're kind of visiting the city, or the town rather. It's also where pilgrims who are going up the mountain to Ermarag go to stop before they make their way up the mountain. And why this is important to you, it's because your watch will probably have positions kind of either near there, or they will have someone who's always kind of stationed at these camps to ensure there's no bad elements trying to go up the mountain and deal bad things to Ermarag. That's you protect the town, but you also, in a way, protect them as well.
Okay. Which number am I? 5 or 6?
Whichever one you want.
Take 5.
Cool.
Where's your candy bar?
If I'm like a captain of the guard, I'd probably want to be up near the main, what looks like the main gate here.
Okay. Perfect.
And I have easy access to all the barracks and stuff like that, but I've got my own space because I'm in charge of them.
I was going to say, too, if you want, that building to the right of you looks like it has a second layer.
Ooh, I like that, yeah.
Why that could be beneficial is it could also serve as, like, the lower level could serve as your magistrate's office and, like, the place where business is conducted for the guard. And then you live in the kind of tower section upstairs.
I like that. I'll take that.
All right. And then, last but not least, Zach, you are, of course, the mayor. Central location would be good. I mean, I see a building I think it's perfect for you, but I'm not going to force it on you.
Are you looking at this one, or are you
I
looking
sure
at this
am.
one?
Yeah,
That's
that
what I thought.
does look really good. Yeah.
Is that yours?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Now, as I stated, there are sub numbers, and I have not given you control of these buildings yet. But at this point, this is kind of something that's outside of the structure of what's already been done, and more for my purposes here. In the lead up, and also in notifications, and also here in a handout, I have created a rule, more or less stolen a rule from someone else known as I Know a Guy. This is an important rule for you because the town's population is going to be fluid. There's not going to be an accurate listing of everyone who's in the town. However, you are members of the town. So for me to have this nebulous materia of I need to make shit up every time is obviously a problem if you are expected to be kind of like in a town where you know people. So these sub numbers that I've created here, this is an opportunity for you to know guys and possibly create a bit about the town, or rather give me fodder to help build the town that you want to live in. And again, don't always think of like oh man, you know what we need? We need an artillerist who can make cannons, so we have cannons or something crazy. Think of like interesting elements that could be a part of the town that you think might be interesting to have in the town. So I am trying to give you control of the number 7. I really am.
Hey Zach, can you think of anything besides cannons right now? 'Cause that's all I could think of. Like he hadn't mentioned it, but once he did.
Now we need a guy who makes cannons, though, right?
Sounds
Like,
fucking
Yeah.
great.
I know, like now I know 3 guys who make different kinds of cannons.
Oh,
And there's a fire cannon, a water cannon, and an air
Exactly.
cannon.
and another bit of homework for you as we kind of get into this and move forward. The other part of your resource is that you have individuals who are kind of associated with you. The ruler has 3 representatives, 3 individuals who are their retainers. These are people outside of the normal positions that you will want to have as individuals inside of your place of rulership, the keep, that will kind of help you do so. Suggestions I might have for you might be like a butler, a major domo who kind of announces, or like a herald who kind of knows all the heraldic markings of everyone. You might want to have someone who's like basically any kind of job you can think of. If you don't watch Downton Abbey, that might be a good resource for kind of getting an idea of how like a house structure works, and so on and so forth. Other
But
places,
also just watch Downton Abbey.
or also just watch
Yeah.
Downton Abbey, of course. Yes.
It's good.
You'll have 3 retainers. They're very much similar to how noble variant retainers are. They're non-combatants. They will not be in a fight. So don't be like, oh, I've got a Super Saiyan X Ultra Instinct. No, it's just a guy, just a dude with a simple job.
Dude with gloves.
Yes. The tower also has... No, the tower does not have, I don't think, any retainers. The guide's temple will, and the establishment will have employees. So, I need for Elizabeth, and I need for Kevin to think about 3 NPCs that would help you kind of run your individual aspects.
All right. Do we need to come up with them now?
Oh.
Or...
Sorry. No, you do not. This is homework for you to do before next session.
Okay.
Yeah,
So they'll be like retainers too, kind of like, or people that work for us.
yeah. So your retainers are called employees, and then the
Right.
guide's retainers are called
Maybe followers or
followers actually, and then
initiates. I don't know.
the temple staff are followers. The retainers for the magnate are employees. But yeah, and I would say because the captain role wasn't entirely fleshed out regarding a kind of first in command, we'll discuss that once the leadership followers have been determined. So that said, back to the point at hand. I've freed up 7, 8, 9. I'm freeing up 10. You should be able to move these around. Discuss amongst yourselves as to what buildings you see on the table and what aspects of the town you'd want to include. Like, what characters do we want to have in the town?
like This
Yeah, that big
as
one.
like an inn,
Definitely could see that.
like a community center.
I'm really
Ooh.
seeing this as like
or kind of like the
Hold on.
where the main shops are, maybe, or is
Or
that
like
gonna
a
be
little like indoor mall.
Chris, what
Like
were you going to
maybe
say?
there's.
I was like this one. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing there.
You can hold down your mouse and it'll ping it.
There we go.
Oh, that works.
This one I'm really seeing as like that one main inn in the one main city in Skyrim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I'm really getting those vibes.
Well,
I
yeah.
cannot remember
the
what it's
Banner
called.
Mare.
The Banner Mare.
Yeah.
I will say this, if you look at it closely, you'll note that it's actually connected to this building.
Ooh.
Yep, it is.
Well, that could be the stable
Let's see, inn in the tavern.
for the inn.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it looks
One
like,
is the main
Like this looks
tavern
like a
and the
little
other
like
has rooms
grain
for inn.
holder.
I'll be honest, with the number of smokestacks it has on it and the fact that it has a cellar, it might actually be where, like,
the blacksmith.
no, I was going to say where the people who keep the tavern and inn, like, you know, live. And it also might be where they do the cooking instead of like
Yeah.
that hallway that kind of connects the two is like a direct link from building A, where the house is, into the tavern complex.
Oh, it could
Okay.
also potentially like not even be like a hallway. It could be like one of those
It's like a portico.
like a sky connector
Oh, yeah.
sort of thing, you
Ooh.
know? You know
Okay.
what I'm talking about?
So you
Oh,
can go
yeah.
underneath it. I got you. I got
Yeah.
you. I like that.
Yeah. So you could
That's-
still like, cause it has a path that travels through there.
Yeah, it does look like
So
it
it's
does.
kind of like a portico.
Yeah.
Love it.
That kind of thing. Like, you know, like on carriage houses where it has like the gate.
Yeah.
Are we all okay with that being a
Yep.
rest stop?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, and
sounds
it's like
good.
right off the main road too.
Rest stop.
And it has that
It's
really
actually
nice
close
like
to both if you
porch.
look at this as an entrance as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could
You
also
know.
have like
Yeah.
a ballroom. I don't know.
As all taverns do, this is defaulting to a Red Dragon Tavern and Inn. But if you come up with a cooler name for the tavern and inn as a group, we'll come back to that. So go ahead and put the 7 there, and then on 8.
I want a brothel.
Okay,
Yes.
brothels. Yeah, your name.
Like
Okay.
in the game, okay, for the
Oh,
town.
okay. Like, could you do that
Jesus
later?
Bordello.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Zach,
So
Hey,
Gulag.
There's a brothel right next to
you're the one who wanted a brothel. You go to the
No, it
gulag.
shouldn't be a
Can't be
brothel there.
legal.
So okay, I will
Or
state this
here.
in
What about this?
in Jernaris is the greater propriety, like the country of Jernaris. Brothels are not legal. However,
Oh.
the barony, they are legal, and they are subsect kind of governance due to
I mean,
conglomerate
what
issues
about
in the
this
past.
right here, right behind the inn?
Yeah,
We
that-
like just head out back.
I was going to suggest that building is perfect for a number of reasons. That being one of them. The other, that it's really close to the guard houses.
So if there's
Um,
any,
No,
Yeah.
So if they get interested,
Well, I mean,
well, that and if there's any like ruffians that
problem,
don't pay
yeah.
up.
That too, yeah.
Right. So then we're looking at this building here for brothel, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Slide on. So the 7's moving over top this building. 8 is moving over top this building. All right.
Yeah.
8 is a brothel. Sexy sex times.
Yeah, because I put earthly temptations as my flaw, so I gotta have somewhere to
Yeah,
ruin
absolutely.
my life.
Nice.
Cool. Now, let's take a second and stop back. So for the rest stop, the tavern inn combo, to kind of put to table like an idea of the inner working of it, are we looking at like a family situation? Obviously not. We've got a brothel in the back. Are we looking at a specific single proprietor? Is it a guy? Is it a girl? Is it a non-binary person? Is it, what are we talking about? Like, what are we thinking, like, mentally?
I
doesn't
feel
have
like
to be
fabulous non-binary.
Okay.
There doesn't have to be a
We
stigma
love a
with
changeling.
brothel either, though.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Yeah, I agree.
No,
Kevin.
for sure. But the thing is that the brothel's size leans to the fact that they probably have the working individuals in the brothel, but they probably do their business in the inn. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, so
I
don't
feel
like
like it's probably a symbiotic relationship because
Yes.
drinking and
I would
whatever goes.
That's that's actually what the little sky bridge is for. This is
I'll be honest, it's probably less like the Game of Thronesian kind of city brothels where there's
Yeah,
just like
no.
a bunch of people doing stuff.
Yeah.
It's probably
Yeah.
leaning more to the fact there's probably maybe like a dozen at most individuals who are
Yeah.
selling their services, and they're not
And they
receiving
probably
jobs.
work at
Yeah,
the inn.
they may well do, but
like
that's,
legitimate work, and if they get extra,
it's probably the case that whoever the brothel owner is, and we'll discuss that here in a second, is in good parlance with the inn owner, and like there's a section of the inn, like the rooms there, that are kind of held for the brothel owners
A section of
workers.
the end.
Yeah. What did I say? Did I say section?
No, I heard suction.
What?
Suction, section, sex, hyphen, shun. Yeah. Shun, sex.
oh no.
But
We're
okay.
talking about the Latin number 6.
So for the rest stop, someone said a changeling. Is that right? Does that sound good?
That would
Sure.
be
Okay.
good.
It's
And we're looking.
Get out of here.
I'm probably-
Send is everywhere.
I'm probably mentally leaning more towards an Iden type. To be completely honest,
a
Zach
what type?
played a character named Iden way back when.
Oh,
Long time ago.
Was a little bit less
Yeah, that was
run
a day, man.
forward and a little bit more kind of calculating, scheming. So it
Oh,
may be the
absolutely.
case that this individual, name yet determined, might be trying to come for a magnate position by kind of upscaling. So a bit of competition therein. And then the brothel, I'm really a fan of brothels being run by women, but again,
Yes.
that's just me. Like,
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
100%.
100%.
I'm thinking just a good old fashioned Janaran girl.
What about this?
Go ahead.
Okay, what about a cooperatively run brothel where
They
it's like
Yes,
Oh, like a
yes,
decentralized
yeah.
structures.
so maybe there can be like they elect, instead of saying it's run by, we can say that they've elected
Better.
a representative.
That's good.
Better.
it's a
Good idea.
rotating
Hold on.
Yeah.
leadership position.
The individuals who work own the brothel.
Yeah.
We're not going to name them all off yet. I'll come to it. It'll
course.
probably only be a dozen. However, this other individual who is the people on the outside would consider
Benefactor or whatever.
the ruler or leader of this situation
The
is
boss.
not that. Instead, it's just the
Right.
person who has to deal with the busy work has to be the front-facing person for the group. They literally
fills
have
out the paperwork.
Yeah.
placed this, which
The grunt work.
it could make it even funnier if it's like a guy who is kind of like
Yes.
who's pansexual, who like they love to death. They love this person, like this lucky schlubby himbo, right? And he just goes along with it because it's like, he's doing great. He's getting paid. All he has to do is deal with people, sometimes beat some people up if they're
Wait.
surly, and then so he's kind of like the oh god, I don't want to say the word.
What if it's an asexual himbo?
That's fair, but I
Like he's just like not interested
those
in
are
that, but
boobs.
he's
Okay.
like,
Him,
you
it's
know
just a
what? I'm
job.
here. Yeah, it's a job, and I'm here, and I'm helping these
They're
ladies. 'cause-
platonic friendships with each of the
Yes,
women. Like he
yeah.
has really
Okay.
close
Yeah,
platonic
like he's-
friendships with
yeah,
all
like
of
he's
them, and
like-
But
he's
super
pan,
hot.
but he's
yeah.
asexual, and it's just like
He's,
a platonic.
more fraternal than
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so that's what I was thinking though. Is like I want them to be kind of protective element because
Yeah.
I think that kind of fits. So Ace is great.
right.
Protective Ace, Jernarin.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds fair. All right, 9. Any other spots that you kind of, or any other kind of things that you want to have in the town?
I
That
like this area, but I'm not quite sure what for. Like, I don't know if like there's like an apothecary or like
school?
a school.
well, I was
Like
look-
this is like a little like playground. I don't know.
A courtyard, we'll
I'll be-
say.
Courtyard,
Playground.
yeah.
I'll be honest.
Playground.
I was thinking that this is some sort of monument, like possibly
Oh.
to
Yeah, okay.
It does look like a monument.
possibly
Okay.
to like the town before its fall, or a monument to an important benefactor of the Urmorag, your town alliance, some historical figure of importance, maybe the progenitor of the
Dead mom.
Kennelborn, dead mom. Really good dead mom. That's an easy way to go and
Dead
have
mom,
like
yeah.
an emotional kind of like, oh, I wish you were here to help kind of moment. We love that. And we also like the idea of your mom being associated with a school. So that
Yes,
actually,
oh my
Maybe the
God.
school's over here. Oh yeah.
I was going to
That
say-
would be
would work.
good.
So
like the
this-
school was dedicated to her.
so I would say that these two buildings, or these kind of structures, two structures here, actually no, this one seems to be outward facing,
Yeah.
so that would be separate, but connected. I was say this.
Well, I mean, you can
Well,
you
it
can
could
say
be,
like
like,
the
the
littles are on
younger-
one
yeah.
side, and then like
The
Yeah.
bigs are on
the red
over
bigs on
here.
the other side. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they're also kind of close enough to over here
oh, ooh,
that like they can go on like little field trips
I
to
got
the farm.
I've got it. So how about? Okay, so if it the field trip, sure, but this would be the schoolhouse proper. Okay,
Yeah.
again, small town, and then this would be where the school leaders live.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so like okay.
It's kind of like the
Mhm.
staff
The
dormitories.
proctors and whatnot.
I still
yeah.
want to say that in this one, it's kind of jutting out
It'd be its own thing.
with
It
the
looks,
littles there.
it looks
and
like the
then-
door is kind of on the
Yeah.
outside, so it could
Oh.
just be its own building. And since
That's
this is
creepy.
and since this is a residence, then this can just be a residence for someone else.
This is so
Yeah.
little. What is that? Is that the shed where they go when they're bad?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds about right.
It's the shed with the problematic stains on the walls.
Oh,
It could just be like a storage shed for like
Toys.
Oh.
equipment or
Yeah.
toys. Yeah.
I just noticed something as to why you said that was small. Bear with me here.
Yeah, it's like 10 foot wide.
No.
No, that might not be right. Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, okay, I see.
The
Okay,
squares
that's-
weren't set right. So it looked a lot smaller
Yeah.
than it actually is. Sorry.
Then yeah, that's fine.
Apologies.
So then that little offshoot could be is where the littles are, and then this
Yeah.
is like the main
Yeah.
learn your arithmetic area.
Maybe sectioned off into smaller
You're
buildings.
a witchmatic.
This is like the daycare area.
Everybody in this town's gonna learn how to count. God damn it!
Yup.
Love it. Go ahead and move your 9 over to there, and I'm going to put memorial, school, and or dormitories.
We can't get. I
Yeah.
can't grab 9.
I can't
Unless
either.
I got 10, 11, and 12, not 9.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay, I'll move it.
Number
Sorry.
9.
All right. Cool. And then we've got 11 and 12. Chris, any ideas on any structures that you want to have in the place?
we got a inn. We got the inn is all. It's a rest stop, so it's bar, inn, brothel, school.
Mhm.
a lot of the stuff that I had in mind is probably maybe it's not a given for a town. I was thinking there would have to be like a shopping district or shopping district,
a market area,
A market-
kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm seeing like sort of this little path here. Maybe you've got all these buildings facing the street. That'd be like either this path here or this
Yeah, I was
little
thinking
central square.
the central square would be really cool, and as like a center point for the market kind of area, like the actual people who run like the guilds and the like could be in this kind of building right here, and that way you kind of have the union and the mayor settled in the building across the open area from that. I really like that. So this would basically be like where the market's located, and like I was saying too, I'm gonna have a bunch of tokens I'll be dropping down to fill out the market area when it's in kind of bloom, and sometimes it'll be pulled down if like there's no market or some other festivals kind of coming through. All right, perfect. Then we can go to Kevin and ask him what he thinks would be a cool idea.
All right. I think we need would it be a Cooper, a person who makes barrels? Or is that a person who makes wheels?
Yeah, Cooper does both.
Because there has to be somebody making the barrels to put my, wine in. So I'm thinking it'd probably end up being close to where my brewery is, but my winery, I guess. So yeah, like one of those buildings or.
Yeah, a Cooper makes casks, barrels, and because of that also makes wheels, because wheels are kind of old timey
kind of-
the same thing.
Right. So you got to have one of those. What sort of other things do you need in like a medieval town?
Well,
This whole
Yeah.
area could be like those kind of construction. I mean, mercantile production stuff.
Right. We could have like we probably have to have a seamster or like a.
Well, hold on.
Doing things.
I think we've kind of gotten away from where we're at. But let's focus back on the school and the marketplace real quick, so we can kind of get what I'm going for here. So regarding the Memorial School and dormitories, that was Elizabeth and I think a joint effort through Magpie as well for that, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
So when we are talking about this school, obviously the Memorial, the people in the teaching positions, for lack of a better word, principal of this establishment, of this place, who is this guy, or who is this gal, or who is this NB, who is this person? Like, what do we want to do with this this person? Like, thoughts?
We have it be an older folk,
Yeah,
Mhm.
like somebody who's
probably venerable.
Yeah.
Definitely been around.
been here
if-
for the majority of the town's
Yeah.
history.
I like
Like
the idea of a
ancient.
lady,
Okay, now
like
like
an
a
old
McGonagall
crone.
sort.
Yeah, like an
Yeah.
old crone sort of lady.
focusing
Crone.
on that mentality, focusing on that
Probably
mentality,
offensive,
and
I'm
again,
sorry.
not to. I'm just writing. I'm not using this term. You use the term first. So I'm just gonna. So like, you're also a crone in this game, Elizabeth.
Yeah. I know.
So like this would be a compatriot.
could this be a person
Yeah,
who's
she's like-
associated with the church, but is kind of coming at it from a different angle? Like the church and the school kind of are like, you know,
Like spiritual over here, and then like
you could be a person
educational.
who occasionally has tea with this person, is very much in
Yeah.
friendship with.
Maybe we're like former besties. I don't know.
Absolutely. And so she's a female. What race did you decide on?
39. That's crone age, right?
Sure. I don't use the term crone, so I can't say for certain.
So
I'm not
I hate
insensitive.
to be one note, but
Elf?
well, I also thought like maybe Eladrin.
Yeah, could be good. So if you
I
want
don't
to
know,
kind of,
or just elf.
if you want to pull away from the typical, just to help you out here and give you some possible different angles, seems to be something I've been doing a couple times here. We love that for me, though. We love that for me. So we do
Collaboration.
we do have a strong gnome presence inside of the area.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Gnomes are
That's
very much
true.
affiliated in my campaign setting with the elements and elemental kind of aspects. That could be the case. Dwarf, I know, is not like elf a sexy race, like, because elves are so sexy. But
I love dwarves.
Dwarfs are pretty rad.
I mean, Varric
Yeah.
though.
And they do make great druids. There's also halflings, which are pretty great. And don't discount merfolk, even though you feel like you might be treading on someone's pond with that. But yeah, I would say the vibe that I'm getting here and like the feel that I think could kind of like hit just right. Elf would be pretty cool. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, but I think gnome would also be pretty cool, but for the same
Yeah.
reasons. They're
Yeah, I
mystically
also
kind
looked
of
at them.
they're mystically kind of like affection, and it feels like a pair of gnomes kind of gossiping about kids and people in the temple is way more interesting than two elves talking about them.
Yeah, that's true.
Can I
Especially
make a
when like half
suggestion?
the kids are taller than
Gijo,
them.
go ahead.
Can she have like frizzy red hair?
If she's a red gnome, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Miss Frizzle.
Because they're going on field trips.
Miss
Yeah, let's go with
Frizzle!
gnome. That's fun. I haven't
Perfect.
played a gnome before.
So then the student or the teacher will probably be Miss Frizzle. Like that's
Mhm.
I'm sorry. That's
Heck yes.
Yeah.
Guide. Cool. Great. Now we kind of understand what I'm going for here, right? Like
Mhm.
moving into the marketplace, and I believe that was Chris's suggestion. So leading with you, do you have an idea for a person who's kind of like the one running the show with the marketplace? What I mean to say is the person who's kind of officiating licenses, allowing people to kind of set up their tents and set up their wares, and also keeping connected with the other kind of like groupings. This person's obviously going to be very closely affiliated with Kevin's character. So Kevin, if you have some thoughts and ideas as to who you're going to be
Oh,
connecting with here too,
Who?
think about
Wait,
that.
wait. Back up. Who is this character supposed to be?
This is the person who runs the marketplace. So they're the one who like makes sure
Oh.
everything is set up right and nobody's like, not setting up if they're not allowed to, that kind of person.
That's sort of thing. All
The
right.
OSHA paladin.
The OSHA paladin.
The ocean.
Got to make sure everything's safe. No slips, trips, and falls. That's the #1 injury in our town. Did you guys know that?
Chris, it looks like you're about to say something with a thought.
Yeah,
Something
maybe. Okay. When was the last time that something really bad happened to the town?
10
years ago?
I was born.
Well, the thing that happened 10 years ago that was bad wasn't bad for the town. It was bad for the leadership of the town. Very different. The town's fine. It's just the leaders kind of.
Okay, so I'm thinking like that was when I rolled a 2, right?
No, I think I rolled it. No, I rolled a 6. You're right.
Someone rolled a 1. That would be the last bad thing that
That
really
was
happened to the
Elizabeth.
town.
That would be
That's
Elizabeth.
about
Oh,
40 years ago, 50 years ago.
okay.
It was like
Okay,
the
so
worst.
I was thinking if it was recent, that was going to be one thing.
Weren't we gonna
maybe-
erase one of those?
No.
You erased the initial
The penalty. You're not erasing the thing
penalty.
that happened.
because we had
Oh,
so many
okay.
bad things happen?
Gotcha.
Yeah, because we still took a negative influence and negative gold on that turn, regardless of. The
So
leadership
maybe
was
it could
saying.
be
Right.
a family of like wealthy merchants, like that they have over the years, like through the highs and lows of the town, they've managed to like just help the economy build up. So maybe like a
Okay.
oh man, what are the charismatic races?
Well,
I
I
don't know.
Half-elf.
You can
Half
go.
elf would be good.
I'll go.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's kind of hard to have a race or a family of half elves. It would be
Oh
Because
yeah,
of the
true.
fact that they are,
One of the
A
parents
half
would be
elf
dead.
and then
When a-
a quarter
Potentially.
elf.
when a man
And
loves
then
an
it's
elf.
eight
It's a bunch of half elves
elves.
that only marry half elves.
Yeah.
I have.
What about maybe
Very
like a
exclusionary.
family?
We kinda
what
did
about
that
a
in
family of
Empire Pathfinder.
tieflings.
Tieflings?
This is true.
Yeah, that just like
I like tiefling.
because they're a really sort of charming people, they've helped just like gather the merchants and the artisans together to
I love
really
that.
bolster the economy.
So there's
Kind of
a
leverage
family of-
favors
a
amongst.
family of tieflings, Kevin, that you've associated with, and they're the merchants of the town. They typically are selling wares inside of the town, but this family isn't really focused on their own kind of selling. When merchants come into town, it's them who basically set their prices and kind of allow them their space. Obviously, they grant you a grand amount of, leverage in these regards. So if you hear about like a wine dealer coming into town trying to kind of usurp your market in the town, they're not going to let them, kind of situation.
What happened to the free market?
No, not
Okay.
here.
You done goofed.
Damn it.
All right, so we've got 2 more slots for kind of
From
filling
Red Magpie.
out here before we get to the last portion here. So anybody else? I think everyone's kind of had a chance to chime in, with the exception of maybe. Does everybody feel like they've gotten a chance to chime in on something? I know we don't have it.
Elizabeth, you mentioned apothecary.
Oh, I said like an apothecary of
Oh,
some
Yeah, it was
sort. Like
magpie.
I
Okay.
feel like
I
kind
think
of
that's a
like
good idea though.
I like it. I'm gonna go with saying that if you're gonna have an apothecary, inside a town might not be
Or
like
like a magic shop.
yeah,
Maybe run by a witch.
Oh,
Like
just this weird
half and
tiny little
half.
hut out here.
Yeah,
A witch's
Yes!
hut.
What is this tiny little witch hut doing if not
yeah.
being an apothecary's house?
that's exactly where I was moving
Yeah.
the
Okay,
piece.
It's
cool.
surrounded by mushrooms.
So yeah,
Yeah.
you've got this
Nice.
this small little apothecary, a small little witch's hut, and she's a bit of a magic shop. She sells potions, brews, and
My
stuff.
God.
I'm gonna say that we're gonna call her just a witch, town witch, and I'm thinking.
She has no name.
I am thinking. Let's see. I'm gonna look at my pictures and see if I already have something drawn. Save me a lot of trouble. Bear with me here for a second.
What about like a super old moon elf? Or would that not jive? Because they're kind of more religious.
Yeah, moon elves are very
Wild elf.
determined, though. Like they're not usually sit down and kind of like hang out kind of people.
Yeah.
Let's see. Images. I'm thinking witchy witch.
Or what's this here?
Witch.
Because it looks like this one has a garden. But that
No, that's
the
too
little
big,
tiny
though.
shack.
I love the
It
little
needs a little
tiny.
shack.
I love the little
Yeah.
tiny spot. It's really good. But now that I think about it, a little tiny spot kind of denotes that we kind of have only a couple of options here as to who should live in that tiny house. And my brain space goes to halfling or fairy. Thoughts?
Oh, fairy.
It's hard to fight.
Yeah.
Fairy it is.
It could be my cousin.
Yeah, could be a
Yeah,
member
there you go.
Or
of
ties.
your relation. Okay, so
Yeah,
fairy
yeah.
and witch,
It's all
obviously
coming together.
female, possible relation to advisor.
I
Oh,
removed
this
cousin because she should be older, I think.
Hmm.
Older.
this
You
place
don't
has
want her
a
to be older.
boat.
She's the elder auntie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Oh, ooh. We'll discuss more on that in a second. But for the last ditch effort, I think everyone has had a good idea so far. Does anybody have anything else that they want to throw out there? I obviously kind of want to just like say the stables. Like this is where I'm kind of.
That's,
Yeah.
I was gonna make the last
Yeah.
proposition. Can I make the proposition for the stables? Furbog,
Ooh.
male couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One is primarily the horse, like the manager of the horse stables, and the other works as like a consultant for the like different vineries and like grow operations,
Oh.
like the fruit
Yes.
operations.
Oh, hey,
So
hold
they're
on.
couple
Let's connect.
that operate out of.
Let's connect. So Furball male runs stables.
Yeah.
And his
Mhm.
husband.
Yeah,
Kevin, have
yeah.
you come up with your options for employees?
So I feel like if one of his employees is the one that specifically like grows the grapes, you know.
No. The employees are
Or
going
it
to
could-
more be like individuals who are keen to the business, whereas the
Right.
vineyards are going to be run by their own individual
Oh, well, there you go.
processes. But Kevin,
Wine connoisseur.
do you already have your 3
Love it.
employees already, or no?
Yeah, but it sounds like maybe I might want to modify them because who I came up with was like I was going to have somebody named Margaret who's kind of like did butler type work, and I was going to have somebody named Adam who might be a human or a dwarf, I'm not sure, but then he was going to be kind of like my master winemaker, but that could just be my character too. I wasn't really sure. And then like because I picked the final person was going to be a Kennelborn. I didn't have a good name, so I came up with Scrog for now, but could be
Oh, okay.
whatever. And he was going to be like a helper that worked within
Okay.
within like my wine area.
So
shop.
easier connection.
Yeah.
I'm still on board with the Furbolg pair. The Furbolg husband who runs the stables, fine. The Furbolg who isn't running it actually is the one who plans travel arrangements, and in that regard would not be a direct employee of the magnate, would instead be an associate of the magnate who isn't under your employ, but is the one who oversees any shipments that are sent out of the city, or rather of the town, with the wine that is made here out and about. Sound good?
That sounds good. Yeah.
Runs shipping for 10 and for 4. Okay, so great. Everything else will be filled in by me. I will have kind of a definitional idea for most of the spaces here. Regarding the town structure, this is obviously the inner kind of town segment. The town probably has a populace of about 1,000 in its entirety. Most of that will be vineyards outside of this space and other farms that are kind of supplying you. And it will probably also have other small elements such as loggers, due to the fact that you're kind of based in a woodsy area. And there might be some mining in Morag. Not major mining, but just a small mine that is kind of also kind of bringing in resources for the town. Undoubtedly, due to the amount of stone that's present here, somewhere nearby, possibly on the more shore-facing side of Urmarag Mountain, there will probably be a quarry where most of the stone has been kind of levied from to build this beautiful town in question. I think that's pretty much it. Let me move on to the last step. Well, the second to last step. Okay, so we have a leader. Now we get to determine their leadership score. Now, influence and composure is something that everyone will have. If you haven't read the section on influence and composure, it's on page 32. And this is for social interactions. Your influence is basically your attack characteristic when you're dealing with... sorry, strike that. Let me double check. Yes, is your attack characteristic when you're dealing with engaging someone in a social fashion. It will, in effect, just be a means for you to kind of, when having conversation, if I say make an influence check, I mean to say whatever you just said has had a very pointed and very direct kind of function regarding a person you're talking to. And that will affect their composure. If their composure is reduced to 0, you're going to basically draw out their more like angry nature. And you as players need to determine what your unmasking is like. So when someone actually unmasks you and reduces your composure, how do you respond? So for example, when I'm tired and irritable, and if I kind of get grumpy, I'm very just like negative, and I'm very kind of like make fun of everybody, or like point out like old jokes that I know are kind of like, demeaning towards a person. I'm a prick. I get that. That would be my unmasked nature. If someone has kind of like made it so I'm kind of pushed into a corner, I recognize that I'm going to be barbed, and I'm going to try and kind of get one over on a person by insulting them. You probably understand your own nature and understand like when it gets to a point where you have kind of become done with it, how you would act in that regard. And that's what this influence and composure is going to determine. This, whatever you want to call it, but I will call it unmasking, this state of being that you will enter into when your composure is reduced, is going to be written out separate from your flaws, but placed in your flaws block. And should be kind of denoted as such. Anybody have any questions regarding influence and composure? Okay. And leadership score. So mass combat will eventually become something that we do. But for the purposes of this, we have determined as to how many followers you as a whole have. So, have you built your character far enough along, Magpie, to determine what your charisma modifier is?
Clerics are pretty much are they charisma or would it be
Wisdom.
wisdom?
Or wisdom.
So that would be the 18 most likely. Let's see.
I have made a mistake.
What is it?
Uh-oh.
I have 10 charisma.
Yeah.
Might want to raise that.
You might want to a little bit
Yeah,
higher than
I might shift some numbers around.
Perfectly
I have
fine.
a question.
Shoot.
Are we going to be doing a whole lot of like combat on the ground? Not really, huh?
There's not really going to be a lot of combat.
Okay.
It'll mostly be social.
So charisma would probably want to be like the 16 or the 17 then?
Your call.
We'll go with the 17.
Okay. So it's a +3 modifier, and then your level will be 1 because you are adolescent, so that would be a 4 total. And then back up to determinants. The advisor need to determine their personal leadership score.
Based on it's just my charisma modifier.
Charisma modifier plus your level.
Well, I plan to purchase a bunch of shit, but I think now that we're not going to be in combat,
It'll be your base charisma, not any modified charisma.
Got it. Then it'll be 3 plus 3.
Okay. So your level is 3?
Oh, no. My level... Yeah, I think my level would... Wait, what level do we start at?
5th, but you're reducing it down, so...
Okay, I'm only reducing it by 300 XP. So then I'm at level 4.
Yeah, correct. So then we're looking at a 7, so half of 7 rounded up is 4. So we're looking at a leadership score for the town of 8 so far. And then the captain will apply his leadership score to the rulers for determining militia size, which is what we're doing. So, Chris, your level and your charisma modifier.
Yeah, I'm level 4. Oh man, I might just switch my wisdom and my charisma.
Not a bad choice for a leader.
Yeah, so it is unfortunately only a 1.
Okay, so we're looking at a 5, and we're adding that number direct, so that'll be a total of 13 leadership for the group. And then we are going to subtract 5 from that. Keeping in mind, the first penalty of 5 was what we negated with the infrastructure. And actually, upon rereading, the entirety of the Doom's negativity was actually omitted because of the infrastructure build. It gets rid of the entire penalty from the year, not just the one roll. Per my RAI notes. So, that means you won't suffer any penalty to your starting capital. You won't suffer any penalties to your influence as a leader for that specific time. That said, your leadership will be an 8, which means that you have a number of militia followers of 75. So, if you call to arms, you will have 75 followers that will come to your aid. Of those followers, Chris, you have 1 who is not a retainer. He is not a follower, an employee, or anything like that. He is your number 1 guy. And so what is he like?
Ooh. I'd say he's probably one of the guys who we were like in the same whatever squad or whatever it
Mhm.
is when we were in boot camp or whatever you call it, whatever they call it here.
Yeah.
We just wrote like helped each other out. We started out maybe as like fuck you, man, not really
Right.
liking each other.
Former rival.
Yeah, former rivals, maybe a little bit of a rivalry going on there, but a friendly one.
Kind of like a not Gary later seasons, not Gary early seasons, a la Pokemon. Is that fair?
Yeah. A friendly rivalry, but like
Okay.
it's like because I'm the captain, he recognizes my authority.
Because you became the captain, he's recognized your authority. He
Yes.
probably was vying for that position as well.
Yeah, but
Okay.
since like he's always like,
Yeah.
I could be captain too, but
Right.
he's not trying to take it. He's like, but you got it. So what we doing, boss?
What are we talking about? Obviously we're using him a lot, so it sounds like we're gonna go with a guy, and then
Yeah, it would be another guy.
Dernaran human, or do you want to do like a different race? We've got some options, obviously.
Yeah, let me look through your races.
Kennelborn seems to be one that's talking about a bit. Quality wise, it sounds like it's good.
I actually kind of like that idea.
All right, sure. We're looking at a Kennelborn number 1. Okay, cool. Him, good boy. Great. Let's see. I think that's everything. Oh, right. Hold on. Sorry. Leadership score. For town. 8. Leadership score. Ruler. 1, 2, 3, 4. Leadership score for advisor is we said 5? No, 4. No, it was 5. And then leadership for the captain is 4. All right. Now these are important for mass combat if it will, but it won't be something that you won't see coming. We will definitely have a lot of understanding as to how mass combat is going to work happens. But there is a PDF link inside of the PDF if you want to read up on mass combat rules. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to fill out the blanks in the rest there. And also kind of fill out the outside world a bit more. Mainly the town that the other town that we came to be aware of. Speaking of towns, not currently having names and should have names, we've got about 15 minutes left before I close out the session. Great one, by the way, so far. You named the town something stupid, it'll probably ruin the whole night. But that being said, what do we name this town?
I have 2 thoughts.
Okay.
I like Morg's Gate.
Yes.
And,
I was thinking like Morg Shadow, but like something to do with Morg.
or if we want to like go very like literal, like, we could go with like resistance or another noun like that.
So,
I don't know what folks think.
to perspectively help the way I imagine Jernaris is it's very much kind of Eastern European. But I do imagine that this eastern side of Jernaris is a bit more kind of interconnected with the ideas and like flow of Parnak, which is very kind of English. So I do like the idea of Morag's Gate. Naming structure wise, since it's not a massive town, it could be something like Gate Beneath Morag, or Gate Gate
Zach.
Gate
Jesus.
upon Morag,
Ooh.
or something like that. What?
Good
It-
job.
Oh
Good
God.
job.
I think I get to re-roll that. I'm pretty sure.
What did you roll?
I rolled an 11,
11.
a 15, a 5, a 9, and 9.
Oh, wait, you picked the Worldly Foundation, didn't
Yeah,
Yeah.
you?
but you get
You
to
picked
roll
the best
3d6
one.
6 times. And
Hold on. So real quick,
Oh,
let's do the math together. 5 goes to 8, -1, -1, -1. All your penalties are you're at -1. So roll it again.
Pick the 15 though. You got to pick the 15 to keep.
Yeah, 15 is kept, and then roll 5 more dice.
get to pick.
Mhm.
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
you got to keep one and then re-roll them all, so it's probably still gonna.
Oh,
change.
no.
15, 9,
Now he gets a
12,
bunch of XP to spend.
8, 9,
Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, penalty. Yep, you are going to be receiving the refund or the
Fuck yeah.
Get a
dude.
bunch
Additional
of XP
experience.
to spend.
but those are the stats you're stuck with.
Yeah.
We love it. A regular
Pretty
Bodie
shady.
over here. Okay. Oh, that reminded me. Did anybody take the? I know that there were people who took the worldly, but did anyone take the other old?
The senior.
Yeah. Did anyone? Not senior. No, the senior. That's what I meant. You're right.
Yeah. That's the only other.
No,
one.
I took worldly.
Worldly. Okay.
Yeah.
I was really tempted by that one.
Okay. So no seniors. Got it. Love that. Gate Neath Morag is pretty good. I like that.
And I just call it Gate for short, or
Absolutely. And
Gate Neath.
are you
Gate Neath.
reading my notes,
Ooh.
Gijo?
Am I?
Yeah, I do
Gate
want
Neath.
to ask if you've been reading my notes, because let's pull it back to the larger map. So first off,
Am
you're
I
like,
in trouble?
yeah, you are. Because first
Called
off,
out.
you were like, I want to be from up here, and I want to be part Goliath, and I'm like, oh, cool, it's like right where my Goliaths are. And then you're like, oh, in the side chat, I would like for the fairies to have like Arabic derived names, please. And like the main culture of like fairies that I have planned in my stuff are located right around here, and are very much in a city that is by borough bound, that is very much Arabic inspired, like kind of Middle Eastern, like very cool looking city structure that they built. And the map music fucking switched on every time I do it. I know it's coming.
Yeah, I have ESPN or something.
You must have ESPN
Yeah.
or something. Anywho, cool. Yeah, absolutely, something that I can work with
The
here.
town is definitely called Gate Neath.
Gate Neath Morag is the name that we're leaning towards. Is that right?
Yeah.
I like it.
Good.
Or
Gate
just
Neath.
Gate Neath?
Gate Neath, I think, is what it got shortened to.
Love
Well,
it.
I think like the name that's on all the royal documents, it's like Gate Neath Morag, and then like when people are like, "Oh, are you gonna stop by Gate Neath?" You know, they know that it's
Yeah.
Gate Neath Morag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
love it. Anybody have any opposition to that naming convention?
Nah,
I think
like it.
okay, good. That took 4 minutes. I was hoping to stir some kind of discussion, but no,
Right.
great. We got it really quick. I was like, suggestion. You're like, oh, that's perfect.
I should have suggested something really stupid.
Yeah, could you have?
Dogville. Let's call it
No.
Dogville.
Dogville.
I'm pretty sure that the
Dogton.
second that I told Brent about it, his entire plan would be, I am swimming across the entirety of the ocean to get there.
Oh my
Fuck
god.
this other party. I can't die anyway.
Oh my god.
Are you gonna say he's doggy paddling?
Oh my god, get the fuck out of my goddamn way.
No.
Actually, it was
Now
pretty
he's
good.
gonna kill
You know, it was pretty good.
me. Take all my.
It was pretty good. I will give you inspiration for that.
Finally.
Doggy paddling.
Oh,
Finally.
it's been like 6 months. Everyone's silent.
Sorry, my brain was. I looked over at the thing and it looked like I had a notice.
Now I have to look at pictures of doggos so I can decide what my character looks like.
Oh
The
my God.
yeah, there was a side conversation happened. Well, not a side conversation, but a conversation in another campaign
Mm.
channel that was about product. So I had to Get in there. Anywho, I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, the only thing I couldn't find Kennelborn as a race in the.
Correct. They'll have to be manually added. They
Oh
are
God.
Kennelborn are another byproduct of Burrowbound. Really cool stuff. By the way,
I changed my mind.
I will put them in there for you if you need me to. Not tonight,
Yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
tomorrow morning. But yeah, absolutely fine. If somebody wants to get to it now, I can give them control of your character sheet. But no volunteers, cool. Right how long?
I'm sorry.
I understand. No, yeah, you have a character to build. So speaking of characters to build, the last note I will put to you, the very, very last note, is that in the end there you can see the bit about Murag Monastery. There's a little bit of detail regarding it, and also a little bit of detail regarding the Abbess Valandrin Arachneas. She is an important NPC. Also, the names that are listed there with her: Brigadier Roderick Ralliard, Holy Protector Oscar Alric, Hedge Mage Landaf, Avant Courier Estrid Shallows, and Cellarer Tiffany Denegith will be important NPCs for you as well. They are still in formation. There will be a lot of characters I am placing in your town who will also be important, that you did not make up. There will also be a lot of characters that are in your town that you just gave me the details for that will be important as well. So as these things start to come to fruition, pay attention to the notifications channel. Please, 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 please do not post in notifications. If you have questions about stuff in notifications, post in general. I will answer them there. If you post anything in notifications, I will copy it, delete it, post it in general.
And yell at you.
And be agitated, of course. Yeah. So I will unmask. I will. That said, as you start to finish your details, you can feel free to post those in the general. I will eventually get an in-character channel up for in-character discussions, but that is not up yet because we haven't really started. What I expect of you is a written backstory. I don't need it to be massive. I prefer it to be as long as you are willing to write, but it does not need to be massive. I'd say a paragraph at minimum, taking into account what you've kind of made up tonight and just putting it into a format that is legible. That's it. That's all I need. If there are any NPCs that are in your backstory that you want to make up and create and throw in there, if there's any kind of association with NPCs we've already discussed in here, or that you discuss with the players in general, creating like cross knives, these knives will be important to me in formulating kind of a bit more about the world outside of the town. The main thing that you need to understand is that your town is very much your town. So as political things happen with you in your town, it will affect everyone, and it will affect the town as a whole. So keep that in mind as we begin next session in an actual role-playing sense. We will be beginning with the Abbess's visit to the town of Gatemeath. And thank you for those that were watching. It looked like we had quite a few people watching, and I hope you liked session 0. And we will pick up next week with the first real session. First session. This was a real session, obviously, but the first session of the narrative of Resistance at the Threshold. Thank you.